by something like a Loyi in the mid lane. He was given these flanking potential angles with the diversion, and he went full damage. So the man was playing as an assassin on the Paquito, and on top of the macro power that you have with your mobility, you have even more with the teleports.
That's actually quite interesting. So we'll see how it actually pans down here in our region in Indonesia right now, as we are moments away, ladies and gentlemen, of entering the drafting phase. Game number 1 in this best of 5 between Geek Fam and Rex Regum Kaon. We're gonna see, as it is presented to you by the official smartphone, Samsung Galaxy A55, A35 5G, and you're right, 3 bans from the side of Geek are given towards Skylar. The Natan, the Claude, as well as the Moskov have been taken out of the board, and that leaves the Harith, first pick in for Geek. RRQ, they're only left with the Roger, perhaps.
They haven't, quote-unquote, nerfed the Harith. The survivability, base shielding from the second skill, and the scaling of it has been lowered, but it's still an absolute powerhouse. Good at trading, good survivability, and a lot of outplay potential. Letting it go to Geek, bit of a bold move, but for RRQ, banning both the Loyi and the Chip. I mean, the Loyi is still good, and the Chip now is a lot stronger. I thought RRQ, though, would be the one to try and use it. But we'll have to see. The first 2 picks here, Baxia and the Roger. A lot of flex potential denied there by the picks, but at the same time, this is a aggressive angle they're looking at.
Blue side, so far in the regular season, even in MPL Philippines, MPL Malaysia, from what we've seen, have had more success because you can dictate what picks you can start with, right? What gameplay you want to try out. Barats is a hero that we have seen kind of lose its popularity, lose its strength in this patch, but it seems Geek Fam still find it very, very good. We know the changes to the invades, we know the changes to his clear speed as well, and the Baxia has risen over the Barats, I would even say. Is it because they have a fair miss? Do they want to play with even more health bars? Or what's the idea here?
Well, I don't know what the analytical sense is, but this is definitely taking a really good hero away from Clay. In the last week of week number 9, Clay was able to perform really well on the Faramis. We've seen him on the Novaria, it didn't work too well. The Valentina, not so much, but on the Faramis, he was a powerhouse, and the same can be said for Geek. So they've denied a pick from Clay, but they've also given a boy a comfortable and one of his power heroes as well.
Hey, the Faramis from Aboy has been notorious for just being so good, so solid. With RRQ, generally going for a lot of these big team fights, and that's how usually you want to play when you do have a solid gold laner that can, be aggressive. Usually it's in the team fights where he can have space to actually do some damage. But now with the Faramis, with the Harith even, seems like Geek is doubling down, and they are no strangers to the long team fight. So RRQ, they have more mobility and to a degree more skirmish potential right here, but they have to find ways to force Geek into the situation. So I think catch potential, quad control needs to be secured here.
Crowd control is going to be very, very big for both these compositions because they're looking to go for these team fights early to mid. We were talking about how early to mid compositions might come through, but we were still expecting RRQ to play those hyper carries to farm up, wait for Skylar to be a threat, but it kind of feels like, and actually it doesn't feel like, it is what we're seeing right now. Geek are forcing RRQ to play their game. They're forcing them to play in the early to mid. We'll beat you out in the early, and we'll take over in the mid game, taking away that late game presence that we are used to knowing from RRQ, a team that likes to weather the storm, wait for their gold lane to stay put up until those power spikes hit. And with the X-Borg, RRQ are taking away some of those damage-dealing potential picks from Mr. Luke himself.
That's a power hero, by the way, taken away from him. I think he's found most of his success on the X-Borg, but Geek go ahead and ban out the Franco.
Interesting. For Geek, like we said, they do not want to get pulled onto individual fights. They want to have a proper 5v5. So, taking away these pick potentials, especially with Vin. We didn't see the best out of the Franco, but back then, Vin on the Franco was notorious. But with the X-Borg ban away though, I feel that was one of the big problems that they faced against Geek Fam RRQ when they had Luke just zoning Skylar away with that X-Borg. So that will no longer be a case, be a situation they have to try and deal with.
But another region is knocking here. We have some data from MPL Philippines. Harith has become a highly respected hero in the MPL PH Season 13 playoffs. He has a 100% pick and ban rate with 30 bans and 2 picks, boasting a 100% win rate. That's
Ridiculous.
broken.
This was pre-patch though, right? It was a bit different. I mean, the
Okay.
nerfs aren't like massive or anything, but still, it's a bit different. You are still very, very sustainable in the Hellcurt. Something we were talking about from Mr. Beloy, Mr. BBB. It seems like,
Whoa!
huh? Also a Link coming through. It's a double assassin combination. Trying to shut Skylar down.
Wow. Against a Minotaur, though, technically, right, on paper, the Minotaur can counter-engage really well, protect the Goldiner really well, and with the Roger, by the way, getting quote-unquote buffed a bit, more defensive stats when he's going all in. You know, this is a bit more of a risky approach from Geek Fan.
Has Ray picked up a Ling yet?
This season?
According to my notes,
No.
he hasn't.
I don't think I've seen it.
I don't think we've seen him play Ling in MPL even.
Oh!
Because before he was in Dewa, an Esmeralda
Wow.
for RQ.
I mean, is it okay? Yeah, it is. It's going for Dawn. So that will be in the EXP lane. Are they trying to counter the Harris? What's the idea of this Esmeralda in the EXP lane?
He's going to be laying against a Barats.
Interesting, and no direct counter when it comes to like stealing the shields away, but it's still a sustainable hero, and technically with Barats not being mobile, there's a chance that the Esmeralda can kind of out-trade and out-bully the Barats in the lane. That'll be in the hands of Dawn to try and see if he can try and shut Luke down and then take that pressure elsewhere.
Well, we'll see. If the Esmeralda, it's a pocket pick of theirs that they've been saving even from the regular season, because that has been one of the ways to counter a Harith, one of the ways to counter shielding heroes. But remember, 100% win rate. Even the regular season, it was unbeatable.
Sound the horns, sound the trumpets, because the King Slayers are here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first game of this best of 5 series between Geek Fam and RRQ Hoshi.
Off the bat, 2 Purifies on the side of Geek Fam, a boy and Chidera for sure. We'll have to see the role matchup though right here. Minotaur against Hellcurt. In the early game, what's different is that the Minotaur can actually sustain back up as long as it doesn't go for a proper all-in like this. So even if Beloyski can chunk him down, there's a chance that Vin can match his maneuvers in the early game at least to try and make sure that the Hellcurt doesn't really get out of control. Looking at the emblems by GameSmax right here though, for Chidera, Inspire and Bargain Hunter. So he's trying to go all in for that snowball, and Geek Fan make the first move.
Stampede Ray goes in, but Rat is the one who picks it up. But boy, gonna be flickered on here. Rat picks up first blood, and the Kingdom strikes first. Beloy forced back under his tier 1.
That's not the outcome that we were expecting. I mean, with the fact that they had a lot more to say in the early game with that composition. Oh, wait a minute. There might be 2 in the first minute of the game, but Beloyski is still going to be able to get out of that sticky situation.
I like this move from RRQ though, setting the tone, knowing that they're up against 2 assassins. They want to tell them like, we are not trying to back down here. We're going to group together before these big moments and make sure that the assassins do get shut down.
And engage. Try to chunk him down. Vin. In the bottom lane though, Luke, we're talking about how he needs that combination. He's on a Barats, not a hero we usually know him for.
Do you think it'll work?
I feel like if his role is just to be the main front line, you can't really mess it up. But considering how fast RRQ can really move around with their composition, I feel like that Barats becomes a bit of a liability. He's just at risk of always getting caught out, chased down, and the rest of the team can't necessarily back him up. And Geek Fam, they understand that they need to be able to outmaneuver and outrun RRQ, which is why you see the Quantum Charge in the hands of a Boy and Rave, and just to get around the map faster.
Rat's pulling the turtle over to his side. Luke, flicker, that's his welcome. Gonna be able to munch him down. Ray jumps over to the Viant Blade, picks it up. Now another realm comes down as well. After the blades by Ray. Dark Knight falls as well. Ray trying to pick up all the blades. Will be able to do so. He gets out the Finch poised just to steal and to get away.
Okay, I thought he was going to go for another trade there onto Clay, but he's still going to be able to get out. Overall, RRQ. Oh, wait a minute. See?
Ooh, that's the burst potential for Geek Fam. Great plays right here, really outmaneuvering RRQ, allowing Ray to get steals in the jungle as well. But look at this. Whoa, Irad.
Trying to go for the shield unity. He does find it. Was he trying to take that lethal away from him? But Irad still is able to secure it.
Wow, for RRQ right now, they have to be just concerned about this Barat situation because that Daytona's Welcome is a pesky tool. And the fact that it's on the EXP lane and not in the hands of the jungler means that there's a lot more ways that Geek Fam can play around with this. Oh, look at this stun prediction though.
Seems we're in the minority. Eterna 3-1 to Geek Fam. We have the same score. A boy wants to force the issue. Even as Monforce committed down with a synchro vision as well. Finn jumps over the knockup. Beloyski still able to run away for a bit, but Irad just slows him down with the puissance. It takes him out of the land of Dawn.
All things considered though, it's still just the roamer. But for RRQ, this also means that this is time where Beloyski is not just diving in, just threatening the backline. And look at this play, immediately cutting off Geek Fam from the turret. It's time to go for it though.
Stampede over to Vin. Rook has rotated. Detona's Welcome. The Minus Fury used up defensively, but he'll be slain before he can even use it all the way. Geek Fam secured 2 kills, equalizing on the board.
A great move from Geek Fam to rotate and just pinch RRQ, knowing that they can get the catch in the back line. RRQ need to be a bit more careful with the maneuverability that Geek Fam can rotate with.
Already an invade now. With Ray dealing some damage over to Irad, trying to go for the orange buff just right now. Irad with a puissance, walks over, but Ray takes it away. Did use his retry, however. 2 levels ahead, and it seems Irad cannot go for the turtle.
So what's the idea now for RRQ? Are they just going to keep on going for these team fights? Are they still going to play into the tempo of Geek? It looks like Vin might be fishing and starting to go for this next neutral objective, but with 2 level difference, can they go for the contest?
Ooh. Vin's holding it down. Irad has taken his purple buff, was able to regen quite a bit, and now uses the shield unity to rotate over again. Dark Knight falls onto Dawn. Missiles not connecting. Dawn trying to cut away. Synchro Vision and Minions Fury though knocks him up, and Ray still finds Retribution. Now it's a 4-man knockup as they go away with the Lycan Pound. Skylar munched up by Luke. Now thrown away. A boy comes in with another realm. Skylar gets slain by Beloyski. Play looking for that damage. A couple of the blaze knocks him up. Oh, doesn't go for the kill now with the Finch boys. Dawn gets the shield. They bait it in. Finn able to cancel Ray's engage fully. Clay gets hit by the Stinger, gets a little bit more of an HP. Irad brought back by the Stampede and stabbed by Ray.
Unfortunate outcome for RRQ right there. They wanted to go for a bit more of an all-in, but Skylar getting hit by the Daytona's Welcome as he just enters that fight. Just means that the damage output for RRQ is immediately just demolished. And even the prolonged fight, Geek Fam, you can see that how they're playing this is just so intelligent, hiding back in and out, knowing that in the short burst of trades, especially with Chidera securing the Starlium right before that fight began, they can just wait for the cooldowns, go in and output all that damage, get out and rinse and repeat. RRQ are the ones who are struggling to get an engage because they have a Minotaur. They can protect really well, but they can't really go for these catches.
Seems they lack that chase potential, right? A few of those members were low, but when Skylar jumps in, he gets counter engaged on by damage, not by CC.
And look at the items as well. Dawn going with the Enchanted Talisman. He actually did the most damage in the previous fight, but look at this.
Dawn just disappeared on the Esmeralda. You're supposed to be sustainable in there. He just got melted down. Your Rad's next on the chopping block. A full damage composition is working. Clay forced to use a defensive Tempest of Blades. That's a good Minions Fury, but it's onto another realm as that's Lycan Pounce coming down from Skylar. Picks up a shutdown, but now gets ran down inside of the tier 2. Clay falls as well. Slowly but surely, Geek Fam just take all the members down.
The Kingslayers mean business here. They trade 4 for only Beloyski. And look at the instant space that they have achieved. They are knocking on the doorstep of the kingdom right now. Picking up a turret in this mid side will dictate the fact that they have more map pressure to play with on those side lanes and the objectives.
It's crazy that if you think RRQ, they have the Baxia. They want to be rotating around the map just a lot more aggressively. They're just getting fully outmaneuvered by Geek. And again, you can see that they're caught in these fights like 2v5. Geek Fam just finding ways to be together and now going for the turtle.
Shadow Stampede onto Dawn again as Zaman Force gets popped in, but he has to purify now as his welcome gets used up and Chidera just melts Dawn away with Ray picking up the turtle for free. Rad sliced down. Ray is going mad in the back with a pinch poise, trying to chase him, but Geek Fam decide to back away. It's a 3-for-0 on top of the turtle.
It's brutal. It's
that
brutal.
damage,
Geek,
man.
they played that team fight so well, layering all the resources they were able to get, and even Clay wasn't able to utilize the ultimate coming in from Helkert, from the Faramis, to be able to find an edge in that team fight, and that's a 7.6k gold lead now for Geek.
Going from bad to worse for RRQ right here. The fact that Dawn, only with the Enchanted Talisman here, is just so squishy when he gets bursted down by everyone all together. So he can't really do the same thing he's been doing since the beginning of this game. He's trying to be like a bit of a different version of a CC. They can do some damage. They can be elusive here, slippery in these fights with the Purify as well. But you can't purify that damage, man, with Chidera picking up the Feather of Heaven as well. He is just nuking down Dawn before he can even react.
Then you have Ray dealing physical damage. You got magical damage, you got physical damage. It's just so hard for RRQ. They have frontliners, but what do the frontliners even build at this point? It's 8 minutes in the game, and they're conflicted. We want to handle the Hereth, that's a problem. Or Ray and Beloyski, that's going to be an even bigger problem for our backline.
And you know, it seems like Geek want to go for the team fights with the Netherrealm, but if you look at their composition and the way they're building, Hellcurt and Link can technically do a bit of DPS. They're not really skill reliant, and the Link has the has claws as well. Oh, they're going in.
Chidera just diving deep, and Ray goes in as well. That's a stolen Netherrealm, but now he gets knocked up. No, he's able to dash out just in time. Ray trying to chase him down. Ray! What an assassination in the back, and Vin jumps in onto 4, but no one's there to follow it up. He went in all alone, and now Dawn and Skylar are left to defend the 2 side laners of RRQ.
What is Ray on in the playoffs? I mean, week number 9,
Oh!
impressive. Wait a second, was that a mistake?
Oh, Skylar tried to flicker out, but he gets munched on Luke. You cannot run away from that Detina's welcome.
This is so unfortunate. Just everything going wrong for RRQ Hoshi right now. And looks like Irad gets pulled back in as well. Oh, look at the damage!
Almost taking the tank down just like that. Dawn can't even walk even further here. And Ray, meanwhile, even I was surprised. He took the Lord all by himself with the Finch Poise. Just rotates over after going for the kills. What is this man on? This is his true retribution.
The Retribution just coming out of nowhere. And look at his build, like I was saying, he has the Has Claws, the Berserker's Fury, now the Sea Halberd as well. If you leave him alone, it's not just a danger when he can go in with the Tempest of Blades and go for the skill base damage. You leave him alone, that DPS, like you saw earlier, being able to just 1v1 the Lord, no issue. That's a lot of problems for RRQ, and I don't think they have enough time to deal with this, because Chidera also picked up the Holy Crystal, so the burst damage, the survivability, they have to really find a big moment here if they do want to extend this game even longer.
3-man SWAT in their souls after this welcome straight in, and they can't even get another round down before Chidera bursts him out. Still in his on force, they're fighting. A boy gets the Ghost Burster. Skylar's running for the hills on the Lycan form, and Dawn will just succumb to that Dino. Game 1, the King Slayers.
They take it. They take game number 1 from RRQ Hoshi in a very dominant fashion, controlling from the early stage of the game. And the one person that honestly caught me by surprise is Ray. He was written down in the regular season. A lot of comparisons between him as well as Hazel. People saying that Hazel is the better jungler, but honestly, his performance today, and remember, this should be his debut in the playoffs, and he performed that well. This is a different crowd, a different stage. You can hear the chants from the kingdom staring you in the face. But on his debut pick on the Ling, he was able to perform that well. I'm impressed.
We're all impressed. We've been talking about how if they wanted to play Ray in the regular season, use his strengths, and his strengths in MDL, the last time we saw him perform, was on Assassin. So we were expecting all the way from when he was played initially to go for these Assassins. If it's still utility, we were like, why not Hazel? And then now, in the playoffs, it seems they were just hiding. They were hiding all their strategies, perhaps, for the playoffs, or maybe it's because of that little change to Invade, giving Ling a better time in the jungle, and Ray an even better time to find his Retribution.
It's almost like a pattern here for a Geek fan, right? Oh, playoffs? Time to unveil the strategy we've been keeping all this time against a Minotaur, right? Against a team with good crowd control that, you know, can kind of do well in those Lord or Turtle contests. He just kept getting all those neutral objectives, man. Irad just wasn't able to secure, I believe, not even a single one. I think we'll see more of that in the post-game stats, but it's a very impressive performance. Again, as you mentioned, on a big stage with a big crowd, especially with RRQ, a big crowd.
A large, a humongous
Humongous.
Ginormous. Give me another synonym.
Massive.
Massive, colossal.
I like that.
Yeah.
Colossal.
Colossal, a colossal crowd in the building, the
Gargantuan.
kingdom. Gargantuan, we're adding more words. But all those words could also be used to describe the snowball from Geek Fam in
Yeah.
Game 1. First blood didn't go to them. The first 2 kills, heck, went to RFU. It looked like they were creating a snowball, but through objectives. On an assassin, you usually expect that from the Baxia, but on assassins, he was able to trade and get these objectives while also winning in these team fights. Is this the new meta? Is this a damage output meta?
But remember, right, the first 2 kills that were given to RRQ was below minute number 3, if I'm not mistaken, and that is before that level 4 power spike that Geek Fam were able to get, especially with the health grid and so on and so forth. But as soon as that level 4 hit, as soon as Bloiske was able to play around with his abilities on the health grid, that's when we saw the shift starting to happen. So that extra space that was given from for RRQ in the early stage of the game negated.
It's just so unfortunate. I feel like that one moment where they were really trying to go and pressure for the topside turret, and Geek Fam obliged and faced them behind their own turret, and then eventually got basically a bit of a flank and pinched RRQ. I feel like that moment really kind of sealed the early game, at least for the side of Geek Fam. And afterwards, it seems like RRQ, they just want to keep going at it, but they keep going for these like Lord contests, and I really expected, right, with the composition, they're gonna try and go for the objective. But if Geek Fam approach, I thought they were gonna go for the kills first, right? Because in the early game, that Esmeralda, we saw that one of the earlier fights, Dawn actually did 8,000 damage just running around, just being annoying,
Just being
too
Esme.
tanky before the items come into play. So I thought they were going to use that to try and get a fight first and then get the guaranteed neutral objective, but that was not the route that they went with.
Are you okay? I would expect, Arashi starting to sweat, but you look like you're dripping too. Is everything okay with you?
I'm just waiting for... I'm just worried about Big Giant Alpha who play to... Oh wait, they don't.
Yeah, okay, we get it. They're in the upper brackets. They're not going to be playing today. We're still in the play-in stage.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, I'm sweating because, man, the atmosphere here is absolutely amazing. You can see a little bit of sweat as well from Arashi. Maybe not from the face, but maybe a little bit from the eyes after game 1. But it's okay, Arashi. It's a best of 5.
Yep.
Maybe, take away the Herod, but also now there's another person to respect. Someone you didn't have to respect in the regular season, to be honest, but, man, in the playoffs, what a beast.
It was always a boy. It was always Beloy. But now we have Ray. It doesn't rhyme. It doesn't sound as good. But it doesn't matter. His name doesn't need to rhyme. Look at that GPM, 964 in that jungle. Wasn't taken down a single time. The amount of retribution he was able to utilize against a utility jungle, by the way. Oh yeah, sorry. Retributions that he was able to find.
Roy.
Roy Tribution?
No, so
just
Beloy, a
Oh.
boy, Roy.
That would be pretty funny, right? Ray, Roy.
I was like, Roy Tribution?
That would be weird. Roy
That
Tribution.
didn't-
Roy Tribution.
Doesn't sound
Yeah,
as
no,
nice.
that doesn't really work. But yes, on the link, just finding ways. And he's just very active here. We'll take a look at the highlights by our official gold partner, UBS Gold. But he was able to find opportunities to not just do damage, but also steal some camps away from Irad. This was an early game aggression RRQ were able to find. They got the pressure, they went in and grouped earlier, but right here, man, after RRQ loses some momentum, Geek just go at it and take note of the damage coming in from the Harriet. Of course, Ray on the link is doing a lot of damage here, but that Harriet, you're seeing again why it's just so respected, so important.
So technically, MVLPH and now here, 100% win rate. Harris.
So now in our playoffs, it's been left open once. We'll see if we'll have the same record. Only 2 times it's left open in the entire playoffs.
And just like that, with the momentum, with the Netherrealm that does not need to be stolen, right? They have the original Netherrealm. They can dictate when they want the fights to happen. And even here, it just seems like RRQ, they're trying to get some control back, at least threaten some kind of aggression back. But Geek Fam, they just wait for the right opportunity. And I think Vin really wanted to try and make a big moment happen right here, but it seems like they're just not on the same page. Look at him. He's waiting right here for the big moment, but after the team has used everything, he just goes in right here. And even the turret wasn't around to help him in that situation.
Phenomenal stuff from Ray, man. Always coming in the last, but also these engages. This is a composition that actually struggles with engages, right? You need to look for that pickoff with Deathless Welcome. Maybe a full-on dive, but the fact that Luke got 3 people in the Smart Mist pulling him back into the Deathless Welcome, that was just a perfect way to end this game. 10 minutes in our first game of playoffs. 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's fair credit to
I think Geek, it was the rest of the team, and he couldn't really capitalize on anything. Couldn't even deal as much damage to burst anyone down because there was another realm, there was a Barats as well, and anytime the team was in a threat of an Esmeralda kill, all he needed to do was, all right, Detona, Munch.
Right.
And then Esmeralda just becomes a non-threat, gets CC'd even if he uses Purify. Or did he bring Flicker? Yeah, he did bring Flicker
I
last
think
game,
he
right?
put Purify. Oh,
Esme, Purify.
Yeah, Purify.
Bait it out, Purify, done. Once you get once you use your Purify, bait it out so quick, the damage output comes through, and there's so much burst. I think the main problem in that game was there's too much burst.
True. I think if for the Esmeralda to really work, you need someone else to really take the role of the main sandbag, right? The fact that Esmeralda is kind of a utility, shielding, damage distraction, whereas Vin is also a utility, counter-engage, flicker menu and fury type situation. No one is really able to stand in the front, and when Dawn tries to fit that role, he just gets immediately deleted.
All right, we're curious now to see the strats coming out from the Kingdom, from Rex, Regum, Kaon. But it looks like Geek and RRQ have opted to stay on the same sides. The exact same bans come through for Geek. But RRQ, this is the switch up. The Faramis gets taken away from a boy. Luo Yi's opened up, gets picked up by RRQ. And instead of the Fredrin, they've actually banned out the Barretts and taken the Fredrin for themselves. But Geek still have their hands on Harith as their first pick.
Yeah, the first pick Harith though is just so dangerous. But maybe now with the global presence, with the power, we talked about the keys to victory there earlier. The trio mid, the mid triangle for RRQ. If it can get rolling, if it can kind of really snowball, there's a better chance. With the Fredrin and the Luo Yi, there is potential. But now with the Angela though, on top of the Baksha and the Harith, man, it's going to be so difficult to try and burst someone down here for RRQ.
But don't you think there's now a perfect time to put in the Esmeralda?
Yeah, I think now if they really want to go for it, they can. But unfortunately, I don't think Esmeralda is first phase worthy in this current meta. Unfortunately, RRQ are still a bit too comfortable on the carry over the Esmeralda. I don't even know if Geek want to ban it out. Do you think it'll be a good ban if they respect the Esmeralda? Or because they already have the Baksha, maybe they'll say, yeah, it's okay. Go ahead, go Esmeralda, we'll just battle it out. Sustain versus my anti-regen.
Right, the 50% reduction from the Baksha's passive. We have to see. They ran with the Yoon song as well though, so do we want to bank on a proper front to back right here? Already a different situation. But when it comes to engage, when it comes to keeping someone in place for Skylar to just completely melt down on the carry, right now they only have the Luo Yi and the Fredrin, which is still relevant crowd control, but it's just very short duration. Knowing that, Geek will ban away the Franco, and now that becomes a question for RRQ, right? If they do want to get someone, they can just take someone out, just pull them in. What can they put in the hands of Vin?
Well, going back to the bans first, right? RRQ, they've banned out the Yuzong. Do they want to go for the X-Borg next? The last time they went for the X-Borg, and this time if they leave it open, it can cause problems for the Fredrin if it is going to be placed in that jungle.
I think the X-Borg would be more beneficial for RRQ in this game, right? They're up against Baksha, Angela as well, and a Harith. So much sustain, you want to try to go through that sustain with someone as explosive as an X-Borg. I think for Geek Fam, they can go for the X-Borg ban, but I think getting Kaja out of the way will be good too. They have a carry already in combo, so if RRQ want to go for that pick-off, it would be great if they do ban out the Kaja.
Well, not for RRQ though, they banned the Novaria, but we saw earlier that there was a Hellcurt last pick for Geek Fam. That can still be very much an option right here. And with a carry, right, with someone that's a bit more, I guess you can, depending on the items and the emblems, could be less vulnerable, but the fact that there are targets available for this Hellcurt now, without real protection from RRQ, that could be something that Geek Fam is looking to really exploit.
I think at this point as well, RRQ are really thinking about whether it's worth it to go for the Esmeralda, or might as well just pick up the Mathilda. This is a very, very late Mathilda. We completely forgot about Mathilda, I think, in the last two games. Even game one wasn't banned, wasn't picked at all. But now RRQ will have ways to actually disengage when Geek Fam try to force the issue with that shield unity. The only other question is, will Geek Fam put another layer on top of their engage? Shield unity and say, you know, plus a penalty zone or something.
Ooh. Just to lock everyone down.
For Luke, he usually loves to go for the Lapu. Yeah. So could a Lapu work here?
Especially against a mobile mage like the Luo Yi, it can work at least in zoning and threatening for a big burst. Against a Matilda though, there's going to be more ways for RRQ to go for the outplay. And no, they will go for the Hellcurt and the Ruby right here. So layers of crowd control to really stop any kind of maneuverability from inside of RRQ. And they do go for that switcheroo on the Hellcurt Angela.
This is crazy because this is also Luke's signature. Ruby in the EXP lane, the switch, right? This is what we were talking about in the keys to victory. The fact that Beloyski and Luke can switch around their roles here. We can see that Ruby is utilized as more of a playmaker, the initiator, the main guy to make the plays happen. But we also have Hellcurt once again, and if they're banking on going for a Skylar-centric play, it will be very difficult for Clay and for the carry. But luckily for RRQ, they've got the Matilda to be able to maneuver in and out against the Hellcurt. I don't know how much impact it can have. And RRQ want to double down with having a proper EXP lane. The Thamus is so good in that 1v1. Is it better than the Ruby?
All the 1v1, I feel like the Thamus definitely has the advantage. When it comes to small trades, that's where the Ruby can kind of take advantage of the passive and kind of maybe try and out-sustain. But overall, I feel like that lane can't really go too far anywhere without some kind of intervention from the other teammates.
And also, right, where's the engage going to come from? From RRQ. They have a circling eagle, but I don't think that's like proper initiation.
Diversion.
You can't really lock anyone down to diversion. You can get them as into crafty angles, but you got a Ruby. Don't run Wolf King. Walks out of there. And technically, they might not even care about the flags. They're the ones diving.
I mean, it worked for Geek in game number 1.
They might just be forced to go and position aggressively and hope for some kind of counter engage, front to back attempt, or just really go for a massive 5-man rotation flying from the behind.
So it's all gonna come down to whether or not Clay has his macro on point or not. Ladies and gentlemen, the land of Dawn beckons. Let's get straight into game number 2 of Geek versus RRQ Hoshi in this best of 5.
Alright, taking some of the emblems right here. Quantum Charge for Vin and Skylar, so both having the... Oh, whoa, what is that?
What happened?
Clay flickering forward. I believe it's a mistake, a mistap from Clay, and Beloyski will capitalize. Throwing his stingers right at Clay.
That is...
I just said this is gonna bank on Clay.
Hey man, you should have cursed it, Eterna. This is the Eterna curse coming to fruition here.
Cast a curse to be like that, but oh!
Shield Unity Ray actually wins out the Red Tree battle. A boy tying him up, putting so much pressure down. It's Irad. A boy now forced to flicker, but Beloy capitalizes on the flicker burnt earlier. Clay just steps up. Very naive, and Beloyski capitalizes.
Beloy just being so confusing here. You don't really know if he's going all in or not, and he's going to go and try just duel Irad here, but here comes Ray.
It's not a 1v1. It's a 1v2.
That's how active Beloyski is on that Hellcurt. He's always around the map. And even if you don't really get anything, the threat is still there. Now even with a Matilda, that in theory should be able to out-trade, out-sustain the Hellcurt, at least in a 1v1. Beloyski is still just having a lot more pressure. And that is allowing Ray to just be so active as well.
Shield Unity, and look at Ray stopping Irad's maneuver. The dash from actually getting used all the way in its full range. The bottom lane as well. It doesn't look like Skylar is having a good time in the bottom lane. Dawn has the vengeance. They can try to go for the contest right now, and Irad does exactly that. A boy clears out the mid lane. Now the hard card is ready for a boy. Ray pops in that Shield Unity aggressively. Luke and Don, both level 4 Finn. Guiding Wind, bringing him back into the Turtle Pit. Ray and Irad is going to be done. Secures it with just his damage. Physical attack, Ray. Gonna run away now, but the rotation comes in, and a good appraiser's wrath finds his mark. Luke with the 4-man, don't run. Wolf King as Beloyski tries to get the stingers down, but RQ will just disengage.
That's a 1-for-1 trade. Ladies and gentlemen, RRQ pick up the turtle. This is a different story than we saw in game number 1. Hang on. Beloyski forced to use his ultimate here. Nearly gets taken out, but it looks like they want to go in again.
Oh, man.
And he melts him down now with a vengeance. Dawn, I don't even think he can escape it. Finn tries to rescue him, but Beloyski on the Hellcurt picks a double kill.
All right, I stand corrected. This is a 3-for-1 trade behind that play coming in from Beloyski. with the rate that this is going, with the 1K gold lead now built up for Geek, who do you think it's worth it for?
It has to be worth it for Geek fam. I mean, initially it seems kind of even, but now, oof. Again, Clay is just under so much pressure. He can't really go for these big roaming diversion plays. But yes, just RRQ not respecting the damage potential from Geek fam there. Losing 2 more after the initial sequence of events. That's something they need to reduce if they really want to try and mount some kind of comeback here. The threat of the diversion still is relevant though, especially the longer the game goes with more ground to cover. But Skylar is just trying his best to stay relevant, and Vin is just torn between trying to enable the rest of the team and trying to save Skylar in this lane.
I agree that the diversion can be relevant, but who do you pair the diversion play with, right? If you want to play it now, you usually go for pickoffs, but how do you go for a pickoff? You don't have the Kaja, you don't have the Franco to go in for that single target hook, you don't have the burst necessarily just yet to pair it off with. If you want to play it towards the late game, will we even get to the late game, right? What are the tools that RRQ can have? I just find this entire thing quite unfortunate. You can see how much pressure Chidera and Voloisky is having here in the bottom lane on towards Skylar. And the fact that they utilize the Luo Yi with that really good base damage in the early game and they haven't been able to capitalize it is also what is unfortunate as well. But look at this.
Don tries to poke Ray down. The Ray pops into Poissons, gets the hard guard as well. Don goes in for the vengeance, but he will be shredded down by the likes of Ray. Just Ray and Luke. One member down. You can say one member done, and a Finn in the flicker combo, bringing Finn back, but he's still able to flicker out. As now it's going to be a 2-man engage from Ray and Voloisky out the Clay, who uses the flicker, but a boy just ties him up from across the wall. Luke still chasing him down, looking to go for more, and that's another Appraiser's Wrap, but Luke tanks it up like a boss.
It's so difficult for RRQ right now. The targeting, the decisions from Geek fam in these fights are just so good, and they seem flustered. They're the ones who want to try and find some kind of fight, but Geek fam are always seemingly one step ahead. There will be a trade here for Skylar though. In the grand scheme of things, Skylar has been able to survive, not really being shut down right here. No deaths, no kills either. He went with the firmness and tenacity in the emblems, trying to survive in this lane. And so far it's working, but you have to wonder how long are RRQ gonna try and give Skylar this kind of space. Because if you look at these fights with the rest of Geek just converging together, already at a 3K gold deficit, I think RRQ needs to try and change things up quite soon. Looking at the items built right here, Clay is just so far behind, not a single item built. And with Voloisky having the Heptases, this means the squishier members are at even more of a threat. Chidera though,
a desperate attempt in the bottom lane, but Chidera just outplays it with the help of the hard guard. They can't even take him down, not just Yao. Skylar engaged on Clay. Gets the guiding wind to escape, but RRQ, their attempt in the bottom lane has failed.
That's just Geek fam, again rotating and having Chidera survivable enough. And look at Luke, already tanky enough right to just stand strong against multiple members of RRQ. And considering that their winning lane is the Thamus that should be able to bully and be used as a reliable factor right here. Whoa!
And I'm offended straight into the damage. Voloisky will be traded, but they'll be happy with that trade. It's a shutdown to Dawn, however. So RRQ do get a little bit more value.
Man, Geek fam just trying to make sure that there's not a single opportunity left for RRQ. And now immediately Irad comes in to try and deny Luke from protecting the turret.
Skylar though, we flanked on, doesn't have the flicker. I'm offended with a flicker combo. Now Skylar brought inside of the tier 1 up top. His first death in game number 2.
So if they were banking on Skylar as their gameplay now, it looks like Geek are now paying attention to this man. Oh, what?
A magic trick straight out of the pocket of Geek fam. Now you see him, now you don't. Don disappears from the land of Don. They're trying to go for the purple buff, but now it's terrified. Ray chasing him down. The taunt comes through, and the circling eagle as well. But look at the zoning from Luke. Finn can only just fly by and take the purple buff, but now they can't even contest for the last turtle of the game.
It looked like it was kind of going into favor of RRQ. I think they were planning to use the dispersion combo in from Clay. I mean, we don't really see the damage come through just yet because we're getting further and further into the game, and of course magic damage will be built defensively. But Clay now is picking up items, so that damage is starting to come through and the burst is starting to happen, but will it be on time? Will that power spike for Clay be on time? But here we go. Diversion play.
The bottom lane only for the roamer. Dark Knight falls. Beloyski trying to run away, and he does!
Wow.
Beloyski did this to RRQ, and M3 does it again in Season 13 of MPL Indonesia.
Sneaky beaky, just like that, he's gone. Oh man, that was a big play that they were hoping to be able to do. And oh, Dawn, he's walking into a trap.
Oh!
Dawn gonna be engaged. Dawn has the vengeance here. Rad trying to buy some time in the back line as Skylar pops in. The ultimate, trying to shred them down, but look at Ray with all the sustainability. Now they can look for an engage again. A re-engage straight up. Ray gonna lock them down, but will not be able to do so. They have dealt enough damage though. They try to force RQ back out of this tier 2. No vengeance from Dawn means there's no front line that can actually tank this burst damage. Luke in the front with dash forward. And also the flask of the Oasis now. Back again onto Luke. Who has the flask, by the way? Is it just the boy?
Right now, a boy has the flask and Vinake has as well.
Ooh. Gonna go for the purple Buffy. Rat pops into Praisers. Rat been forced to flicker out of his own jungle. Luke finds Clay, and just like that, the burst damage comes through. What happened to the bottom lane? It's a Rad who tried to walk back to base because he was stopped from recalling by the Kingslayers.
They're walking circles around RRQ right now, and I thought that Beloyski was going to make a play onto Skylar in that mid lane. He saw him there, but I think Skylar was able to see him through in that bush. Going to be able to avoid that particular interaction. But either or, right? 7,500 gold lead for Geek. They're controlling the map. They're absolutely taking away all the resources away from RRQ, and look how fast they're shredding this Lord. They're blitzing it, they've got it, and they're gonna use it to try and close out the game.
Well, for RRQ, they have to try and mount a defense, but Skylar still is farming, but he's only on 2 items right here. And even if he does get a 3rd item, Chidera, I was about to mention, was close to the Holy Crystal. Now he has it. We've seen the front lines of RRQ just immediately nuked down. It's going to be even more difficult for them to stay in front. Maybe Dawn with the Vengeance can stand there for longer, but even then, it's only a matter of time, unless RRQ can really trade back some of the damage. Clado with the Necklace of Durance will have more spells to throw out, and the healing reduction. If they can really force Geek Fam to clump together, like we saw earlier in the jungle, you saw that Geek Fam were respecting the damage protection from RRQ as well. So that is something that they have to try and wait on, but with the Lord coming in, it has to be after this clear.
Do they have enough time? Wait, what's Clay on right now? Okay, he goes for Enchanted Talisman. So the damage is not quite there just yet. I thought they might be in time to go for another damage item for Clay. But the Kingslayers, they're knocking on the base of the kingdom right now, and it's not looking too well. But the damage, there it is. Chidera forced to go back.
Still some respect given to the kingdom. For now, RQ can still play within their base. Luke with a missed I'm offended. That'll mean that RQ will be able to keep their base turrets for another day. But the siege continues from the Kingslayers non-stop as they invade RQ's jungle constantly. They've completely taken it away from RQ. This is not RQ's jungle anymore. This is Geek's map.
But Skylar just secured his 3rd item, Arashi. The later this game goes, the members of RQ will finally reach their power spikes.
Dark Knight Fall kind of isolating back. Beloyski going back away as he pops into BOD, gets it. They start taking out Ton. A weird engage as he moves forward, but gets shredded down now with a guiding wind as well, getting him out. Look at RQ, Luke with the flicker forward, and a 2-man I'm offended to lock them down. Skylar and Clay still able to flicker out, but the Praisers Wrath will not be able to deal enough damage. Chidera pops in Purified. Finn looks for a re-engage, circling Eagle to the back line, knocking 4 off as Dawn goes through as well. Diversion to the back, and who's it going to be ringing? It's going to be Skylar in the back with the flying up against Geek Fam. But look at Luke now with a 3-man going around Wolf King. Ray chased down, still with the concussive blast, still trying to survive, but Clay finally gets a dispersion. And the Jakarta International Velodrome erupts. Beloyski knocked up, and Clay will be able to deal enough damage for Vin to assassinate one of them. I'm offended, I'll tell you Rad. And the Brazers ran onto a boy, but he's still able to sustain for a bit. Respecting this damage, but have taken 3 members down. No Lord to play with, but they can try to take this mid lane turret. Never mind, Luke just clears it out.
The crowd goes wild as miracles do happen for RRQ, and this is the mid-game power spike that RRQ have found. The fact that Skylar was able to get that 3rd item in, Clay also dealing out that damage, as well as the displacement with his skills, and the fact that he was able to utilize The diversion to go in for a flank. Irad gets the Lord.
Saban forced. No! The diversion gets them out!
Oh.
Perfectly timed by Clay. Momentum shifting.
See you later, nerds. To get the Lord to get out. RRQ
Amazing.
off the back of insane diversion plays. Now they have a full roster. They do have the Lord pushing in and the waves to play around. This is where Geek are going to be visible. They're going to be forced to deal with the waves and they can no longer hide, at least for now. This is the moment for RRQ to try and capitalize, but they have to be careful. It's still a 4K gold advantage for Geek fam.
The Kingslayers have forced the Kings to bend the knee up until this point of the game, but look who's knocking now. The Lord is marching down in the bottom side and they're looking for some damage onto Ray here. That top lane is pushing, but it looks like that Lord is going to be cleared out. RRQ with that Lord, what they have been able to get.
I believe they got a turret on the bot side, but even now, Boloyski just going aggressive against Athamas 1v1. Just like that, there'll be still waves pushing for the side of RRQ, and you can see they know that. They're trying to go in the jungle and set up traps of their own to try and shut down Geek while they're still unrecovered from that sequence of events.
We have a game fact for Boloyski. In MPL ID Season 13, only Boloyski managed to secure victories using Hellcurt, as he was able to pick it up 3 times with a 100% win rate. The question is, this pendulum has started to swing. Will that 100% win rate be broken here by RRQ?
Just like that, looking at the items, Rose Gold Meteor for Skylar. Even more survivability on top of Vin, who has the items as well. But now, Skylar actually has overtaken Chidera when it comes to gold. But look at this play!
No, it's Vin. Look at Scott now. An all-in onto Clay who flickers out but gets chased down like it's nothing. Boloyski walks him down. 2 members down for RRQ. Now the Kingdom backing back to their base again. Boloyski with a Terrify onto Irad as they go for the shield unity as well. Irad cut off and taken out by Chidera, the burst damage.
It's not looking good. It's not looking good. If Geek can close us out, we're going to match point.
Skylar, top of the Stingers, able to flicker out in safety. Now Dawn gets eliminated, even with the Vengeance and Skylar as well. The Kingslayers. They saved RRQ in the regular season, but it seems in the playoffs, they are one step away from taking them out, from stomping them back to the ground that they lifted them from.
We're at match point, ladies and gentlemen. And again, RRQ, the entire Kingdom, they are waving their white flag, looking for anyone to answer the call. In the regular season, Geek stepped up and answered it. But here, there's no one. No one is answering. Ladies and gentlemen, one more game away of going home.
It was a valiant attempt from RRQ, and you see those moments, especially with the crowd erupting at those chances. But unfortunately, Geek, like I said, a bit too calm, too composed, too calculated. They recovered, and it's business as usual. No hint of panic, no hint of confusion in their gameplay at all.
But that's a big problem for RRQ as well. Yes, they're able to create moments, but unfortunately, they've only been able to rely on moments, on plays that miraculously happen, but fundamentally, they've been losing out in every single early game and every single mid game. Geek fam are outclassing them. And RRQ have been able to find these small weaknesses to punish, where Geek fam overextend, where Geek fam make mistakes, but when you're relying on a mistake to happen, especially at match points, where is that going to take you?
That's the ultimate question. And I think everyone is wondering, even you guys at home, what's the outcome? Where do we even begin with RRQ? Even the drafts, you mentioned it earlier on, that loophole of lacking of tools. There wasn't any chemistry or synergy in the composition. And even though that they were able to get that one moment with the diversion play, it was still a 4K goal lead for Geek. So that's how far behind RRQ already were. Even if they wanted to play in the diversion plays, they lost control of the tempo. There was absolutely no opportunity for them to utilize it.
I think you have to put it simply, they were super naive in the way they played and in the way they drafted,
Yeah.
right? They picked up the carry, it's an instant, like,
I think it makes
Kaja
sense,
Franco.
right? They wanted to go for the carry because one, it could combo in with either the Franco or the Kaja, especially with the Louis already being picked up as well, right? They wanted to try and go for maybe early game pickoffs to, swing the pendulum back into their favor, but they also didn't want to rely too much of the early game, which is what they kind of lost control over when they utilized the Roger for Skylar. But even that, Geek were so easy to pick it up. They were so easy to read into what RQ were trying to throw at them, and it was like, nah, no Kaja, no Franco, and then they still wanted to go with that strategy, and it didn't work out. What was the plan B?
I mean, in that game, I feel like it's just about scaling and trying to make sure that Skylar can be protected and he can have all the space to try and do damage. And
Yeah.
to be fair, he caught up in goal to Chidera. And there were moments like that where the diversion, again, showing again that in the front to back, there was potential for RRQ. But in the end, after they were able to get that sequence of events, they were able to push out, get control.
Big
Where
if.
they completely utilized all their resources, dedicated all the manpower to get a pick onto Beloyski, but they weren't even able to catch him.
I think it was a big mistake for RRQ. Firstly, let's give a round of applause, honestly, for Geekfam's draft, because this draft is phenomenal. The synergy was just spectacular for this composition because all of them could dive together. They still had the pickoff that they're known for, and anyone could follow up. But for RRQ, what was the vision, Arashi? They were always just reacting to these fights. There was no real engage. John on the Thamas, that last pick, I think that was a very bad Thamas pick.
This was the one moment of brilliance where they knew that they wanted the front to back. They were able to chunk down the members of Geek Fam, and afterwards, technically, it was a bit ambitious from Beloyski right here, and RRQ were able to capitalize, get some value. I think the vision was just a proper front to back. The problem is Geek Fam knows that a front to back is what RRQ wants, and they never gave it to him unless they can go for a pickoff just like this. This was, in context, this was a moment where RRQ were having some control in the jungle, but Geek Fam made the immediate play and they just deleted one, and one by one, the members of RRQ get taken out. That's the problem right here. They're not really moving in as a unit. There are just some moments where it was just looking quite confusing, to be completely honest.
It's like RQ wanted to play a front to back, but they saw Geek Fam with a very dive-heavy composition, by the way, but they didn't go for any tools to try and inhibit that dive. It feels a little off for me.
Technically, there's still a lot of Fredrin,
Why did they go for like Minotaur? Like a counter-engage tool with so much dive from Geek.
I think it's because they tried.
Exactly.
Game one, they tried. Now they're trying a different solution to the problem. Still didn't work.
Utility, right? Like guiding wind and all that. But I really feel, right, when RRQ are together as a team, in this game at least, you see moments where like, okay, even Geek Fam were respecting, okay, there's some damage here, they're backing away. If you look at the really fatal moments in game 2 at least, it's just those moments where it's at the late game and out of nowhere you see one of the members of RRQ just stray off alone and get picked off. And like earlier, even after the initial pickoff, Irad going in for his buff, knowing that Geek Fam was on the way to try and get some more value, capitalize a bit more. It's almost like they just weren't planning ahead, at least as a team together.
Even the items, it just feels like, yeah, they were able to come back in a way where they were able to get a fight, a good flank as well, some good diversions here and there to get them in fights, get them out. But really, it just feels like
Wait a second.
they never were able to fully chase down or even react to these skirmishes, right? Because yes, you can get away with the initial guiding win, but that, number one, only brings one member back.
True.
And the rest are kind of isolated from the two that run away. And the frontliners cannot frontline up against this composition. Again, it's the same problem. What do they itemize for? We're known now to go for brute force, to go for a lot of these kiting items. But what kiting are you supposed to do against a Geek Fam lineup that wants to lock you down and burst you on the spot? A shield unity, you purify out of that, then there's a terrify. You try to get out of that, and then there's an I'm offended, a Don't Run Wolf King. So much lockdown, and they're all there to receive the Synchro Vision. Stinger, even the Turtles and Poissons. Heck, even Luke was dealing so much damage.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Luke also had the benefit of being able to just flank around because they were using Ray as the main front line. And you can see it, Geek Fam, they know that they don't have the crowd control, they don't have these big playmaking tools like the Netherrealm. So what do? They did not take fights when they're trying to contest for neutral objectives, right? They just keep going for pickoffs first and then going for what's guaranteed after. That's what I meant. They just know where's their strong suits and they play for it. And they deny any real potential for RRQ. They don't give them any long fights. They don't give them fights where Geek Fam are moving forward into the Law Yi spells, the combo, the passive as well, into the short range of Skylar and Dawn technically. So they're just making sure that everything is going in favor of them as much as possible. Whereas RRQ, it's a bit more YOLO-ish at times. When you can see it earlier, Dawn just running in against 5 members, trying to find something.
I don't know, was that like a bait, that moment?
Even if it was a bait, right? It's just a bit too ambitious.
Right, okay.
There's too many things that have to go coincidentally right for RRQ. And I think against Geek Fam, it's a bit of wishful thinking to think it's gonna go that well.
I mean, technically, if we look at this mountain, right? There's a dip.
There's a dip.
There was a moment that RQ found a moment. So
Yeah, I think, which is why I'm saying there was potential. But
Yeah.
if you look at the big moments, it doesn't seem like moments.
But we'll go with it, right, Arashi?
it's okay.
Last chance.
Last chance to, one last journey right here on that yacht to try and get over the big waves right now for RRQ.
Yeah, is it a yacht to MSC?
Yeah.
Oh.
Or is it a yacht back to their gaming house?
Oh man.
That was harsh. Again,
it's
like
the brutal reality. We're gonna send 2 teams home today.
the first one might be RQ.
We saw earlier though, it was saying the banner was saying, "Can respect bans be the key?" I mean, we've seen a lot of bans towards Velocity's Hellcurt, right? I wonder if RRQ they're gonna try and maybe finally bank on that trade, right? The Law Yi chip kind of trade. I wonder for Game 3 though, are they gonna still go with the same pick order? Right, because it's been the same for the first 2 games.
They chose Red Sign in both games. I think it's a bit odd, but I can technically kind of understand. I think they want to play with just respect. They want to try to just get these counter picks out, comfort counter picks as well. But I think in all these regions, blue side have been super advantageous, man. They got so much value out of blue.
One more chance, ladies and gentlemen, for Rex, Regum, Keon. A lot of people were saying that they made it to the playoffs purely based on luck. And this is the last chance for them to prove that it wasn't just luck, that they have the potential, they have the skill, they have the foundation to go all the way here in the playoffs. And here it is, the drafting phase presented to you by the official tournament smartphone Samsung Galaxy A55, A35 5G, and we finally see the change. RRQ with first pick, Geek with the second. And here it is, the bans even are coming very differently. Hellcurt, Faramis, Angela banned out here by the Kingdom. Meanwhile, the Kingslayers go for Claude, Moskov, as well as the Harriet. This means that Natan has been left open.
Yeah, the Harith first pick threat here allows one hero to be open for Skylar. And technically, now both teams have let go of the Law Yi chip. I wonder if Geek Fam are willing to go for this trade if they can guarantee a chip, right? I think they might be making RRQ pick here between the chip and the Harith. Because, with the current situation with chip, when you go through those portals, you get a shield as well. That could be a big deciding factor. That will be the option that RRQ will explore first.
They have to pick it up. We know how lethal Geek Fam can be. when Beloyski gets his hands on something like a chip, because the way he uses the chip isn't the normal standard way. He can do that, but he usually plays it just to get that macro control. But you best believe if Geek Fam wants to leave something like a Natan open, they want to take it away from Skylar, denying it and also securing a Luoyi for a boy.
It's a battle of macro now, right? Both the chip as well as the Luoyi has a grasp on the map. The question is, who can do it better? With Natan being picked up, what's a good lane for Skylar? Are they forced on Roger? There you go.
Roger, it seems like that will be the option they'll explore here, along with the Fredrin. So still a lot of aggression. This means that once again RRQ will be banking on that early game to really try and shut down Geek Fam. With the Luoyi, technically a frontal assault will be a bit dangerous, but if you can get behind and get behind the frontliners, Natan and Luoyi can be very easy targets to pick out.
And again, it's that flex pick. That flex pick that was a big curveball to RRQ in game number 1 that caused them to lose control of the draft completely. The Barats. Is it going to go to the XP? Is it going to go to the jungle? That's the big question for RRQ now. As for Geek's draft, and honestly, I don't even know. Both are very, very viable. We've seen Luke play it really well, and it's uncharacteristic for him to play something like a Barat, but hey, game 1 was great for him.
We have to see, man. For Geek Fam though, banning away the Masha right here, trying to limit the aggressive potential laners that perhaps Luke will be going up against. And just denying someone that can just come in from the portal and just wreak havoc. I do think that, earlier in game 2, the X-Borg was open, right? But they went for, RRQ went for the Thamos instead. Here, if it's left open again, I think it's still quite a realistic option, especially against Luoyi and Natan. You can go with the Last Insanity towards the back, and just like that, you're kind of immune to damage for quite a bit, and you can zone away these high damage output heroes and allow your team to kind of get an edge, get a foot in the door to win that team fight.
That should be the ban though, right? For Geek. Right now, Masha taken away. Next should be the X-Borg. But they don't. Okay, they do go for the X-Borg. It's too much value that RRQ can capitalize over with this hero, like you mentioned earlier on. But for now, RRQ, with the Minotaur being banned out, the Hellcurt taken off the board, they're starting to limit Beloyski here, but Beloyski has a million playstyles and a million skins that he could totally utilize in this game, but they go for the Florin ban.
Okay, so I think they're gonna really bank on being able to win out in a proper 5v5. The Carmilla usually is used to try and counter the chip as well. That can be an option potentially. With Geek Fam, you never really know. The best you can do is kind of shut down one playstyle from Beloyski and hope that the other playstyle he can pull out is just less effective.
There are a lot of options if you want to do that, though, right? We have Arlet, we have Ruby. Matilda is the choice for Geek, however. And now RRQ, they're going to have to reveal their final cards. The ace up their sleeves, their save and grace. Remember, this is the composition that they have to commit on towards in this match point. Ladies and gentlemen, who will it be?
Well, Geek Fam, they have a very good front line now, and I think if they get a Terizla last pick as well, it's going to be great for them, right? More initiation tools for them on top of the Mathilda, and it just creates such a good front line for the Natan as well. So RQ, technically they can take that away, Arashi, or do they want to just go for a winning lane?
I'm curious about the mid lane I was going to say, but with a Vexana, it's all in that fight. They go for the Esmeralda as well here. Actually quite a good pick against a Mathilda on paper. And just like that, they leave Geek Fam the chance to try and pull out something insane as the last pick to really throw a curveball.
What is it? Are they going for... Okay, Yuzong.
Oh man. Okay. Okay. To be fair, technically against a Vexana, if you go with a Purify, you can kind of neutralize the dive-in threat potential. But in those fights, the fact that he can just be doing a lot of card control, a lot of damage, a lot of ways to push away from neutral objectives. I feel like Geek Fam will definitely use that to great effect on top of the strong laning against the Esmeralda.
It requires accuracy, and it requires level-headed from Clay, something that we haven't seen in the past 2 games, however. And this is not an ordinary Black Dragon. This is Luke's Black Dragon. This is one of his power heroes. Will it work out?
Will the Esmeralda work out? I think I'm more confident saying that Yuzong will than if the Esmeralda will even have an impact in the game. That's the big question, and for RRQ, that's their last chance, their last hope of prolonging the series even lies on this composition.
Will this be it, ladies and gentlemen? Will the King Slayers once again find a victory from the Kings? The last time they were the saviors. Will they be the Slayers back again? But even the game cannot handle the hype, ladies and gentlemen. We are gonna go on a short technical pause to finally really peel out what has been going on with the composition and the draft.
Oh man, we gotta pause here, so ladies and gentlemen, please do be patient with us. We're still trying to figure out ways, and I think RQ are trying to figure out ways as well as to how they make it out of this game alive at least, because they gotta take it step by step at this point. They can't even think about moving to the next stage first. They gotta think about this game right here, right now. It's all about this moment.
I mean, the fans in the building are still very much alive, though. Really still hoping that their team can make a miracle happen. We saw Coach Phil actually cross by earlier. Man seems very relaxed, so I do wonder if there's some kind of plan, some kind of...
Is it relax or is it surrender?
Oh.
Is it acceptance?
Acceptance, yeah.
Okay.
The stages of grief.
One of the, yeah, I think that's the final stage of grief.
Yes, just accepting that's the case.
What's sad is just last week, he had to witness Geek Fam Jr. reverse sweep RRQ Senna in MDL Grand Finals. 3-0 to 4-3.
So it's already like a rivalry of an entire organization.
At this point, it just seems as though Geek Fam, whether it be the main team or the junior team, they have RRQ's number.
What's the number? Can I call? Oh, you didn't mean literally.
Well, technically it is literal, but it's not a phone number. You know, Eterna. Like, you know, the record is 7-0. If you count MDL, it's 8-0.
Oh.
Yikes.
If we count this game, if they
So that's
win,
15.
9-0.
Oh man, please.
15.
You said 7 plus
7-0?
8 is 15, right?
Yeah, but 7 plus 1 plus 1 is 7 plus 2, you know, like this series and then
7
the
plus
MDL series.
Oh.
Yeah. So 7 plus 2?
I thought you meant like 8-0.
Yeah, 8-0.
I'm so confused.
8-0 in matches.
8-0 in matches.
Including MPL or not?
If they win here, yes.
Okay.
Ooh, hey. All right. I do wonder right now what's going on because Geek Fam
So
seem
15.
relaxed. They do have the numbers, but for
Plus 9.
RRQ, you bet everyone's like, okay, bros, please, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna do it? We have to try and find something. You know, crunch those numbers, man.
How do they crunch those numbers, though? These are some big numbers to
We can't.
crunch.
We literally can't stop asking that. How do they do this?
How?
How will it be done? How do they crunch the numbers? What do they do?
At this point, we gotta get like 2 extra guests, right? We got to get 2 extra guests and maybe ask them questions. We need to get Wolf, Midnight, Mobazane, someone here. Get Trex here. He's watch partying back at home, right? Trex, how do RQ win?
Fried chicken.
Trex is saying they don't.
What?
I can hear him from his watch party.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, calling it out. And with the chip, though, will that be enough? We'll have to wait and see because look at that.
Mr. Danang pulling us into the land of dawn that beckons. Match point, ladies and gentlemen.
Whoa.
One more opportunity for RRQ to win it. It looks like they mean business.
Straight dive in the bottom lane, and Clay picks up first blood. Beloyski as well with a flicker earlier, but look at Skylar. Straight to that turret he goes. Getting a few hits onto that turret shield, and even making Chidera miss that cannon, and is actually gonna go on to Beloyski as well. This might be a kill with a Lycan Pounce. No flicker on Beloy. Skylar is online in game 2.
Miracles happen, ladies and gentlemen, right? And that's the entire winning condition that RRQ need with this composition that they brought in game number 3. They need Skylar to snowball, and already with a 101 KDA, this is a very good start against an Atan that needs time to scale.
This is an Atan against a chip, against a Roger. with a bargain hunter and a thrill. This man is going kind of greedy in the emblem choice. He might be forced to pay for it because Vin is just relentless.
Diving into the turret though is definitely something that is a bit off-putting, especially considering the turtle is about to spawn. He's not level 4 yet, so he won't be able to utilize that shortcut.
I have to wait. Look at the positioning here, especially in the EXP lane. You do wonder how this matchup is going to play around because Dawn against Luke, like in the prolonged trades, I think it still favors the Yu Song until a bit later on. With a few more items, I think the Esmeralda can be tanky enough. But Vin on the chip here, 1v2ing all day. He might have bitten off more than he can chew though.
No flicker on Vin. He's still looking to go for the wave. Pops in the shortcut. A desperate attempt, but now Death is welcome. Onto the Esmeralda and Appraiser's Wrath as well. Comboed with the Retribution. Rat picks it up. Meanwhile, Clay gets solo killed up top by Luke. An absolute punish. And he takes the shortcut, flies around to the mid lane. Vin chasing him down. Doesn't have the shortcut anymore. He used it earlier in the mid lane. So Luke just goes in with a furious dive onto him. Put some damage. But Vin's doing a good job at delaying Luke's recall to give Dawn a bit more pressure to play with up top.
Did you see how low Luke was? He was like a sliver of health and he was still able to outplay that situation. Mind you, Esmeralda was being babysitted by Clay in the top lane to give Esmeralda a better time in the neutral objective contest. But even in that 2-1, despite Luke being caught solo, he was still able to clear and was still able to go for the solo kill on Clay. That is power, ladies and gentlemen. And look at this on Skylar. He gets punished.
Aggressive entropy into a circling eagle. Chidera nowhere near to go and follow up. Aloyski engaged on, but he actually is able to flicker out safely.
A risky situation here in the gold lane. Oh, Vin!
Oh, he's not even going to be able to pop in the shortcut right into Detona. You go. Spat out and taken down by a boy.
Geek fam says, enough, bro. You've been disturbing us for the past 3 minutes. Now, though, with that kind of that outcome, see RRQ, the first few early levels at least. Oh, look at this play.
Lycan Pounce follows through. He pops into Purify to get rid of the knockup and the taunt. Well played by Chidera.
Okay, let's slow things down a little bit, right? What is the winning condition for Geek right now?
For Geek, they gotta slow it down and make sure they scale up and they don't have lanes that are just snowballing out of control. And eventually, they can get Chidera the space and the safety that he requires to just completely shred through the front line, go for those objectives. For RRQ, it's almost like the opposite. They gotta try and get some snowballs going in. They've done a great job of getting Skylar ahead, of shutting Chidera down. But that's how this lane is supposed to go. So it's great, but they have to try and get some more to ensure that in the mid to late game, it doesn't become a 50-50, that it can be a guaranteed victory. Now with more time, they can go for a shortcut, but look at this play, the diversion already used.
Oh boy, two-man falling star moon has been. Rotates up top, wants to put the shortcut down. That's a furious dive into a petrify onto Clay by Luke. That was welcome as well. Clay going to be forced to flicker out defensively now as Rad looks for some damage onto Ray, but has the guiding win. By Beloyski to escape. Shortcut placed down. Finn now with the punch forward. And Skylar rotating with the Lycan form, trying to chase him down. Lycan pounds on the Beloyski, but he still has the shielding as Dawn tries to go and chase in the back as well. Meanwhile, Turtle Guard to the back. Meanwhile, it's Dawn as well, still chasing Ray and a boy. Good dispersion, good rotation, but now stunned up and shot down by a few of those Scarve attacks of the Esmeralda. An all-out win for RRQ. And in the bot lane, Skylar goes on to Chidera, tries to chase him down and flicker forward to a Purify. Used up by Chidera, but Skylar takes him out with the Lycan Pounce.
You said RRQ needed to look for more, and here they do. A kill from Skylar solo on to Chidera is just the cherry on top of an amazing team fight earlier on around the turtle, because mind you, Irad was a level below of Ray, but it didn't matter if he wasn't even there to begin with.
Circling Eagle into the Death is welcome. Good disengage. Skylar with a Lycan form, now jumping back. And Ray gets out, so does Skylar. Oh boy! Dispersion and the rotation into the guiding win to get him out to safety in the bottom lane.
Wow. Great sequence of events here. RRQ finally just getting a bit more aggression in, but as you can see, Geek fam always seem calm and calculated, like they're waiting for the next move. It might be on top here though.
Falling Star Moon used up already. Now some Petrify and the Furious Dive used up. As now he pops into Black Dragon form to escape as a shortcut. Is there two Skylars running him down, shooting him from the skies? But Luke gets out just in time. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, a trade happening. Geek fam taking the turret tier 1 down.
And that's a big win, honestly, for Geek, right? If they want to have more presence on the map, the fact that they were trying to get a trade kill onto Luke, the fact that they were unable to get that, and the fact that Geek were able to get that mid-side turret, you can expect more tempo coming in from Geek to try and hinder the weathering storm that RRQ is brewing right now. And they're on to the next objective. That turret in the bottom lane falls.
It just seems like it's so reactive from RRQ, even when they're technically in control. They go for the play onto Luke after the Black Dragon form has been used, so he can just glide out of there. And decisive exchanges coming in from Geek fam. Chidera, I believe, is still very close when it comes to gold with Skylar, so they really have to try and get some more value out of this big fight. Dawn has been able to do great, but can he keep going?
They're chunking them down, circling Eagle. On to Vin, that's his welcome as well. Chidera now with Entropy, able to melt him down, falling. Star Moon locking the 3 members though, and the Brazers grabbed by Irad. Not connecting, and RQ did not go for the turtle. They ended up resetting it to 1-0 right now. The Black Dragon form now used up by Lu to go and grab some space, but Ray doesn't have the depth as welcome. Instantly engaged on Retribution battle, and it's Ray who wins it out. Falling Star Moon charged up, that's a 3-man. Falling Star Moon, make it 4, but Dawn cannot withstand that damage, and Geek fam were able to just kite out to back away and to take the goal lead back into their hands.
That was such a clean take, was it not?
Oh.
What is Irad doing?
Going in is what he's doing, but now he gets dove on by Luke. The passive is taking it, and Irad gets traded out for Luke 1-for-1.
Just back and forth, changing blows, but you gotta feel like, for the most part, Geek fam are still very much in control. There's gonna be play here, though.
Flanking diversion, but the Falling Star Moon was able to connect that to this welcome right onto Clay, spinning him out. Meanwhile, Skylar chasing the back line down with the Lycan Pounce. Bullet Key is able to flick around, and now a boy is caught in the midst of it all. It's Dawn who catches him in the flanks, and Vin who's able to just zone Beloy and Ray away. Another Lycan Pounce and Circling Eagle will be used defensively, but look at Dawn with the Falling Star Moon, only to use it to reposition in Geek fam's jungle. 1 level lead, a little bit for Ray, and he's still able to secure his purple buff here. They go straight to the mid lane to defend.
That was a 2-for-2 trade, Arashi. In that exchange, in the 8th minute of the game, who do you think it was worth it for?
If you have the better late game, the equal trades, if it's just a 2-for-2, in a way, on paper, it always values Geek fam. But at the same time, chaotic games like this is where RRQ kind of thrive. But it really seems like right now, it's like Dawn. When Dawn can do really well in these fights, get big damage, zone away the backline, that's where RRQ really gets a victory. When they're just all scrambling together and Dawn is kind of just moving back and forth, not really with a real purpose. Geek fam just seems to have the better options, the better choices here. And the fact that Clay went with the flicker right now is really just punishing him so hard, because anyone that just jumps to the back, especially Luke, if he comes in on Clay with the Black Dragon form, he's almost forced to use it and still lose out on a bulk of his HP. Like RRQ, the only real times they were able to get massive value is with the shortcut, and they have to try and make plays with that as well.
Vin, an instant shortcut onto Ray, forcing the death to this welcome, but they're all calling the top point. Ray gets taken out, the Black Dragon form now used up defensively.
Dawn.
Meanwhile, a boy gonna be ran down by Dawn, but look at him now, he's gonna be caught, baited in right into the midst of it all. First blast, putting him down in the back, but it's Dawn for Ray to trade as of right now. Skylar chasing him down, but the guiding wind gets Beloyski enough of that shield to escape. Holy Crystal bought in, Irad with a taunt and the Crazer's Wrath. Luke gonna be taken down, but he goes in for the Furious Dive and the Petrify, but Skylar is able to somehow get out of it again. Lycan Pounce onto the Lord. Geek fam looking for a fight right now, but they don't have a jump. Irad still with a red tree. Geek fam, no jungler, no Lord.
They tried to go for the steal with Chidera, but unfortunately it didn't work out for them. And now RRQ hold all the cards. Meanwhile, Geek forced to go on the defense. This is a 2,000 gold lead from RRQ. Is this the beginning of the end of Geek?
It's still very early on right here, and Geek, by all means, they are behind, but it's a 2k gold lead against a composition that has so much aggression, against a Natan, mind you. Especially once RRQ can push Geek towards the base, they still have to deal with the problem cracking open the base, and generally, so far, against Geek fam, that has been difficult, but look at Dawn.
A sandwich maneuver with a Falling Star Moon, able to catch Chidera. No Purify, they dive straight onto him, but look at the guiding wind from Beloy. Vin cutting him off, putting the shortcut down to teleport now. They all try to go and dive in all the way, but no one's taking a portal. Vin is isolated in between the turrets. Ray's able to fend off from the rest of them. And now Irad goes in for the Razor's Wrap, but is caught isolated. Certainly eager to knock him up into the Furious Dive and into the chase down. Ray gets rid of Irad.
That was so unfortunate, right? It looked like such a great sandwich play maneuver by Vin, as well as the other members of RRQ to take Chidera down. But in the end, what was it? Was it a lack of communication? Was it a lack of synergy? What was the hesitation, commitment in that portal there?
It has to be a lack of communication. It seems like RRQ, they were gonna go for the turret, the dive, everything at the same time. And like I said, it seems like the play is being called as it's being made, not before. And that just leaves so much room for error, even though earlier, RRQ had waves to play around. They just lost so much value in that one fell swoop, but Vin, can he make something happen here?
Doesn't put the shortcut, he hesitated there. Bit of a miscall perhaps from RRQ as they wanted to go, but also they didn't. Dawn Chain CC'd, forced to use the Purify out. The Eternal Guard actually catches Chidera, but there's no one there to follow it up. Meanwhile, on the back line, look at the damage to follow up. Skylar with the Lycan Pounce able to chase down all the way to the back line where Chidera will fall. Meanwhile, Geek chasing, kiting, sustaining. Luke finds the portal, he gets portal back in towards the top side and actually saves Skylar. A boy doing the same thing with a diversion, able to get out just in time towards the base, but Beloyski has been left for dead. Now it's Luke. One dragon against 4 members for the Kingdom Soldiers. Luke will take it.
What in the world was that interaction? Skylar nearly gets taken out, but unfortunately for Luke, he gets portaled in towards the top side, denying that pickoff, and it gave RRQ everything. 3 members taken down for Geek. The King Slayers, they're falling behind. I told you, right? Luck for the Kings. You never see it coming, but then it happens.
It's the portal, and now with the pressure, with Luke just now spawning, they're gonna go for the Lord. Dondo
into the back with the falling Starman, gets bursted down. Good disengage from Clay with the Eternal Guard and the choke point. RRQ got the Lord, they were able to disengage as well, but now Geek fam are looking for more. They're trying to force a fight. And unfortunately, they cannot look for it right now. RRQ, too clean with it.
All right, finally, bit of a break. Like you mentioned, Eterna, though, there's just something about RRQ. Before the Lord was able to guarantee their victory, they're the portal, man. That was so confusing for a second, like, wait, what happened? Where'd he go?
Yeah.
Was that a bug? But no, he just walked, he just grazed the portal. Once again, there was this momentum, but now RRQ, they have to try and play it slow, play with the waves here, right? Use this Lord to its maximum potential. They have the chip global presence. They have Vin already in position, and you can see that Dawn has been a big nuisance, and maybe now Chidera has enough damage to really shut him down, but it's still gonna take time, okay? So they have to try and slow it down. This is where they have to try and be patient.
They bet out the falling Star Moon, but yeah, Dawn, he's been key in these engages, man. He's gone to a point where he can sustain through the damage coming through from Geek fam. Entropy up top, that's a risky maneuver. Look at Vin, straight into the back line he goes, waiting for the Entropy to pop, and now goes in onto Chidera, but a guiding wind is there too. RRQ but baited in, corralled over to the King Slayers, and the Dragons will march down to the back with a Petrify onto Vin, and the Furious dive defensively, catching Vin, but not able to take him down just yet as the guiding wind grants them a little bit of that photo HP and shielding. Both teams disengaging, but Geek fam dealing with the Lord.
It looks like Geek are already looking for ways to maneuver around the straightforward strategy that RRQ have time and time again utilized to success. We saw it kind of falter. RRQ are now aware of it. What is the next play that RRQ are going to do? Despite that though, Geek were unable to get a trade off. They were unable to get a pick onto RRQ. It was a beautiful cover from Vin as well in the backline to cover Skylar against the Black Dragon form coming in from Luke as well as the dive. So all in all, it looks like both of these teams, they're utilizing every single brain wave that they have.
All the waves.
All the waves.
Even the minion waves.
That's exactly what they need to be doing right here. But man, for Geek, they're really trying to make use of this double fake, right? The entropy into the guiding wind to make sure that RRQ, they have to try and use 2 ultimates or 2 skills to try and stop Chidera from being able to just slide out of those risky situations. For RRQ though, as long as they do still have this gold advantage, this wave advantage, they can keep making plays for that Lord. And even if they don't really get Chidera, the fact that Chidera is zoned and has to spend so much time walking around trying to avoid the danger means that RRQ can shut down and really shred through Ray and Luke and the rest of the members that do get left behind. And mainly, with the Guiding Wind exclusively reserved for Chidera, Ray is the one that has been the main victim, the main hero that can be chased down and immediately taken out by RRQ. So that is something that now Geek Fam needs to try and solve. If RRQ jump towards them and go on Ray, what can they do? But look at his play!
A flicker by Beloyski, not gonna work though. Vin straight up in the back with the flags touching Chidera. You can hear the kingdom erupt in the Jakarta International Velodrome as Beloyski escapes. They're running for the hills and Dawn is the one who escorts them back to their base.
It's fitting. It's fitting, but this time the Kings will be the escorts. Ladies and gentlemen, the Kings are coming back. They're showing, they're giving the Kingslayers a run for their money here. Already pushing into this mid-side match point. They don't want to go down without a fight.
A full dive in the back line as Beloyski tries to give him enough HP. Luke with the Petrify and the Furious dive, but only connects onto your Rad right now. The dispersion and the rotation has been used up by a boy getting the shielding. Dawn running him down. Beloyski still able to save him just for a bit. Chidera respawns back and guns them down with entropy. Still a Terrify. Dawn buying the winner truncheon just in time. Chidera not timing it right. Getting the shield. Finn coming back with the shortcut as well. But no one's there. Skylar walks back up. Has to respect the damage from Chidera as now he gets terrified again. Skylar has Lycan Pounce. Not able to find it. Skylar gets one last hit. It's a double kill. But the minion waves have been cleared. They're going for the desperate end. Dawn is taking it up, but they all might just die to the waves.
No way.
To the base as well. Still though, with a Lord in the bottom lane, RRQ will miraculously be able to stay in the series, in the playoffs.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to game number 4. The Kings of Kings, they prolonged this series, held back their backs to the wall at match point. They're able to turn it around, giving them more time to recuperate, more time to recover.
Extending their run that much longer. And the arena erupts, man. That was a loud cheer from the crowd. Finally, a sign of life from RRQ. That crazy style. It even till the end, it felt like, okay, wait, is it over? Is it over? It's almost like you never know. But we'll take it. RRQ. One score for them. Potentially the beginning of a comeback, but we'll have to wait and see.
The comeback of their dreams for sure. Dreams that were crushed this last season by a reverse sweep by their opponents. Now it could be theirs to hold. 1-2.
You know, teams like EVOS, teams like RRQ, teams with so much support from the people and the fan base, these are teams that you can't write off that easily, right? Because EVOS have pulled similar things. They were back into a corner and they're able to turn things around. For RRQ, we're beginning to see the beginning of such things. With RRQ and EVOS, again, you don't know what to expect. And I think people were already expecting a 3-0 victory for Geek. But RRQ have successfully forced a game number 4. Did you guys see their performance in game number 1 and game number 2? And then you saw them back in game number 4 and like, where did that come from? This is the RRQ that we were looking for, that we were waiting for all this time. And finally we get to see them. The question is, can they stay consistent? Can they pull the same thing for the next series?
That's the big question. I think the draft, right? We're talking about this chip difference, how it's always been banned out, and RRQ are forced to just ban it away again and again. But see, when they do pick it up, we did mention it's going to be crazy, and it's not just them being aggressive and getting all success. There were moments there that it looked really shaky for RRQ as well, but we did mention RRQ, when it gets confusing, when it gets chaotic, that's where they somehow will find that one moment to really take over. And it just seems to be just the way RRQ is.
They're always somehow able to pull out these miracle games, but in this game, it didn't really feel like a miracle. It kind of felt like the same pattern from Game 1, Game 2, Game 3. Whoever it is, whether it's RRQ or Geek Fam, who hold the early game advantage, they take over the game. And simply put, RRQ were able to construct a draft that helped them, that enabled them in the early game, constantly looking for fights, and all the way from the early stage
It's an Atan against a Lo Yi. That's usually a bit scary, right? To try where they were able to actually go all in aggressive. And again, like we were talking about earlier, Chidera went with a very farm-heavy, like greedy
is to trick the
emblem
Reaper.
setup. So maybe here, after that experience, he's gonna be a bit more respectful, go for like the tenacities or maybe the firmness potentially. We'll have to wait and see, man.
2-1 at the moment. We're still at match point. All eyes are on RRQ right now, whether or not they can equalize a 2-2 against the King Slayers. Here it is, Geek with the first pick in the drafting phase of game number 4. Presented to you by the official tournament smartphone Samsung Galaxy. We have the Claude, Zatan, and Moscow band out once again. Respected RRQ go for the Harry with Hellcurt and the chip. Geek are able to pick up their power in the Faramis, and RRQ respond with the Roger and the Fredrin. Remember, the Valentina has still been left open.
We'll have to see how this plays out right here. Roxia and the carry though. I wonder if the idea is to kite back or is the idea to try and get someone that can lock down, to try and shred, or maybe they're gonna try and just use the carry as a deterrent. Whatever it is for RRQ right now, I think utility is still in the picture, unless they really want to go for that Valentina first. I feel like if they want to try and oblige in those team fights, they have
Where
to do
there
so.
is light, there are also shadows.
Oh, they don't go for it at all. They go for the Luo Yi instead.
Interesting.
So, what's the plan? Do they still want to try and go for these macro plays? The same that they were able to do in game number 2, but 3, sorry. But honestly, Chip and Luo Yi, they have a very different effect. Bin still has the stun, still able to corral very much quicker than the Luo Yi.
And with the chip, you can go and take the portal, but you can go back to where you came from. And that's something that a lot of teams have been able to take advantage of, right? You come in, you participate, and then you go back. Like a good day's work in the office. With the Luo Yi, it's a bit more all in, and of course, it's a lot less spontaneous, right? There's a cast time, a delay that the chip doesn't really have to really deal with. So with the Roger and Fredrin, it's a good brawl, but against a Faramis, I feel like they really need something else here.
I think the Kaja would still be a good choice for both RRQ and Geek, honestly, right? We know the Kaja combination with the Luo Yi, so RRQ could just leave it open and pick it up themselves. They also have good burst damage for the Kaja follow-up. Once you go Divine Judgment, there's a Roger. They can take advantage of that. There's a Luo Yi burst as well. So that's why they banned Angela. They're just taking away sustain from Geek Fam, because it looks like Geek Fam are setting up for that kind of comp. Faramis Florin, Faramis Angela, sustain. Back and forth. Season 12 Geek Fam.
By the way, in Season 13 of MPL MY, Fredrin, Luo Yi, Chip, and Harith has become the hero with a 100% pick and ban rate during their playoffs. So you can imagine how much prio we saw at MY, but we're also seeing the exact same thing happening here at Indo. Right? Chip, Luo Yi, always the picks coming through. Angela banned out, Charizla banned out. Ladies and gentlemen, back into the drafts. RRQ, what is the answer now?
Ooh, for RRQ, I feel like utility can be great here. If they want to go and match up with damage, carry is kind of, especially in the late game, just so difficult to match when it comes to just single target damage. And especially with the Netherrealm, I feel like crowd control would be their best bet to try and make sure that they can keep a Geek from actually doing damage, not by tanking, but by actually throwing out some stuns, some catches to try and threaten Chidera from moving forward as well. There we go, it's going to be a Minotaur. Considering the short range available, it's a very good pick to try and really punish the crowding nature of Geek. Will the Esmeralda make an appearance though, considering the situation here?
For Geek?
For RRQ, considering that everyone's going to be corralling around the same way. Of course, against a Baxia, the shielding and regeneration is going to be cut down by quite a bit.
I mean, it's possible, right? But we were worried about the burst against the Esmeralda with the competition that we see right now. Oh no. Beloyski gets his Franco, and Luke gets his Lapu Lapu. These are two power picks. The question is, in the early game, who will be able to follow up on these hooks, right? It's not a Luo Yi, it's not a Vexana, this is a Faramis.
I think for RRQ now, it's about getting someone tanky to be in the front, right? We saw the same idea. If there's some utility heroes for RRQ, someone needs to take the mantle of the main front line against a Franco carry, someone that can actually open up the bush, right? Someone immune or someone who can actually tank a lot of damage, I think is necessary here if they want to have any kind of control over the map. It's going to be an Arlet though.
There you go, additional CC to play with. There's a lot. I think almost everyone, yeah, could try to reset the vengeance for him. Lo Yi, everyone except Roger, really. So good draft for RRQ as well. They couldn't have gone for the Esmeralda this time. They're up against Baksha, Franco, and the carry. So many ways to punish that Esmeralda. But late, wow, early, mid, and even late, all RRQ.
I think the interaction between the Franco and the Minotaur is going to be interesting, right? Because we've seen some results where the Minotaur can counter-engage the hooks coming in from Franco, especially if the follow-up is short range. And let's take a look at Geek. Faramis, not long ranged. Baxia, we have Carry as well. Lapu Lapu, these are very short range heroes and melee at that. So I'm wondering if Geek can actually outmaneuver these kinds of plays. But ladies and gentlemen, once again, match point for the Kings of Kings. The Kingdom, again, corralling everything they have got. The cavalry, the knights, everything in their arsenal to try and make it against the Kingslayers. One more match is all it takes for Geek to step forward.
Raise your banners. RRQ versus Geek Fam. A possible equalizer that will take us to a Game 5 and a possible reverse sweep from RRQ, reversing what happened to them just last season.
Looking at some of the emblems right here, Vin with the Luminous Blessing, you can see a lot of attempts to really roam around, it seems like, from RRQ. And I really like this approach from Vin and Dawn, right? Both can kind of cover for each other. If they jump on the Minotaur, the final stash can come. If they jump on the Arlet, then the Minion Fury can be used to really cover. But they have to be really in sync with each other though, so we have to see if RRQ will be able to do so. It's Baloyski. He's going for these really high value hooks from so far away, but as a result, the landing rate of those iron hooks are a lot lower.
So there's absolutely no purifies, by the way, from the side of RRQ. Will that be a mistake? We'll see. I mean, so far, Beloyski has launched 2 hooks that we've seen. Both of them have not met the landing, but this is still earlier on. Okay, so that's 3-0 now.
Yeah, 0-3 on that hit rate. You know what's a fun fact? DFAM are taking a page out of Rebellion's book. This is the combo that we are used to seeing from Rebellion, the Baksha and the Franco. Vincent and Audi Teasy usually to secure the iron hook.
The mini knockback into the iron hook. And we'll see again with RRQ having very good counter engage. As long as Clay or Skylar doesn't really become the main target, they can really turn all these big fights around. Geek already trying to make a advance towards the jungle, but RRQ, they are prepared.
They missed the whole wave in the bottom lane though. And because of that, Beloyski is not level 4. RRQ have an advantage in this turtle. Irad first on this turtle. As Luke hovers around as a final slash with Flicker combo. Coming down another realm to get the mount, and Finn slams his hammer, picks up the turtle. Beloyski with a Flicker defensively, and Amoy getting chased down by Irad, who takes him out with a stab in front. Done, stunned up. Luke dodging away from Razor's grab with Ray, picks up a double, so it ends up being equal K! Flickers forward, finds a dispersion, and gets one back. Irad very aggressively moving forward, but now Luke tries to sandwich him down. Geek Fam, will they continue? A diversion by Clay defensively, and Ray tries to jump on Irad.
Essentially, that's a 3-for-2. Arashi, RRQ pick up 2 kills, traded back, but they were able to secure the neutral objective.
A bit of a scary situation though. The fact that RRQ have, again, all these big teamfight tools, and they did get the massive combo, a massive Minion Fury on multiple members. I think 4 members, if I'm not mistaken. And even then, it's still a somewhat even trade. I think RRQ, especially against a team like Geek Fam here, needs to be a bit more careful there.
going back to the point that you were making, Mirko, earlier on, they haven't utilized it. They haven't utilized the Boxia and the Franco combo just yet. And it looks like every time Beloyski is looking for a pick, he doesn't get it. So the value that they are supposed to be getting from the Franco pick, especially from the early stage of the game, pre-level 4 especially, they haven't felt it at all.
Unity though. That's the combo with Iron Hook. No Bloody Hunt just yet. Whoa. That's a knockdown, and Imminent Fury. Another round coming down, but Luke uses the Bravest Spider, able to knock up again, and Clay just utilizes the damage, dispersion, and the rotation. Two-man stun from Luke. And Ray picks up the killing spree. Meanwhile, Flicker Light can pounce from Skylar. The lockdown with the final slash into the Vengeance resets it now. Another dive in towards Luke. But he's able to flicker out. Look at the top lane. Chadera just munching on that turret. As Ray tries to give him some more space, making Skylar miss out on that whole gold cannon minion.
But it looks like even then, Chidera is still behind.
Definitely isn't supposed to be winning in this matchup. And he did go, by the way, for the tenacity and the firmness in his emblems. Now he's respecting
And warrior boots first.
Yep, he knows that there's going to be a lot of damage, but oh, look at this.
Another attempt. Ray jumping forward with the shield unity into the Iron Hook, dying to be locked down completely. Still able to find a final slash.
Oh!
Rad secures the turtle. Luke the Bravest Fighter now with a few slashes down onto Don. Picks up a kill. It's a 1-for-1 trade on an Iron Hook as well to disengage as Luke gets chased down by Clay. Trying to dodge away from the dispersion by Clay. Now a flicker from Vin into Clay's damage. RQ with another winning team fight.
Geek fam, they gotta be careful, man. The mid game from RRQ with all these teamfight tools and a Roger and a Fredrin. There's a lot more fighting power behind their composition. But on the other hand, Skylar has been somewhat left alone, but he's still been able to actually pick up one kill. So I think Geek have to try and find ways to slow it down. Unfortunately for them, though, with the Roamer being a Franco, he's kind of forced to be a bit more aggressive.
The Kingslayers, they're losing their tempo. They're losing this tempo in the playoffs, where they have gone on a 7-win streak since Season 11 against RRQ. They were a game away, and RRQ are putting up this much of a fight. Let's hope mentality is on their side, because momentum definitely isn't.
Oh, Wicker Bloody Hunt into the cancel. Vin Minus Fury under the turret. Down with the resets on the Vengeance. Beloyski burst it down. The turret's still standing, and they re-engage perfectly. RRQ defend the turret and take one member. Avoid pull back. Shadow Stampede. Bring two members back for Chidera. A free hit. And he is able to find one. Irad in the back. Gets a stab down onto a boy. And just like that, it ends up being 2-for-1.
What a great play from RRQ. The read, the diversion before Geek can even initiate on that play. A great read from RRQ, and how good has Dawn been in this game, man. Luke now trying to find something. Bravest Fighter out.
Even the second part of the Bravest Fighter used up defensively. Iron Hook also not connecting. Geek still going for it very desperately. Meanwhile, the bottom lane, Rogers making his way back towards the turtle to fight. Another missed hook. Beloyski has been missing, whiffing every single shot. Uncharacteristic of the Franco main himself. Conceal. Final slash to the flicker, finding a boy. Don able to find a play right now. The Bravest Fighter is going to be used up to the back line where Clay is able to flicker out just in time. Loop with the tape, but Finn getting roared down. Skylar now all alone. 1v4 gets 2. Luke trying to run away. Skylar going to be dealt with now as an Appraiser's Crack connects on the Luke, and one last stab from Irad takes him out. 3-4-3.
It's a 3-4-3.
Very low. Meanwhile, Ray trying to go up against Irad, who still continues this damage onto Beloy. Clay, full HP back again on Turtle.
Ray's not full though. Is he gonna go for a certain item, or is he going to go for a recall? A boy back in the mix. But the rest of the members are back as well. Turtle is super low at this point. It looks like RRQ should be able to get this uncontested. The Geeks, they don't want to risk anything more.
Wow, man.
And the steal! Irad did not retreat the turtle, you retreat the purple buff away from Ray.
Wow. When RRQ are on fire, everything just seems to go well for them. Even Clay, who we were kind of doubting, 5-1 right here, and Irad with a 4-0. even though it's not going as one-sidedly as RRQ would want, they're still getting all the meaningful victories when it comes to the objectives, when it comes to the structures. Even in the bottom side, during the whole sequence, they're able to actually get the bottom side turret with a big play from Skylar, just cutting the waves and allowing the minions to just get that bottom turret for free. Went for the diversion play right here, but they won't be able to find anything just yet. This is where Geek usually start making big plans. Is it a mistake though?
Onto Irad, he goes the Iron Hook and the Bloody Home with the Shadow Stampede. Done! Finds a 3-man final snatch. Irad is going to be able to get taken down. Vin as well falling. Genera melting everyone. RRQ made a misstep. The Shadow Stampede drags them back to hell, where Geek fam completely take over. It's a wipeout for the Kingslayers.
They're back in the midst of it all, ladies and gentlemen. The Kingslayers, they want to stay the Slayers. They don't want to be the King Slaves. And they go for a wiped out in the 9th minute of the game, completely turning things around. Look at the space, look at the comeback. Chidera gonna be able to get this tower in the bottom side. The mid tower falls, the top side falls. And despite everything, Geek are now holding control over the 2K gold lead that previously was RRQ's.
RRQ just going completely full all in, engage every single time. And the issue is Chidera has a Purify. So when these fights are happening, they're trying to match the Netherrealm with crowd control, but Chidera is just constantly hitting again and again. That is something that they really have to try and maneuver around or plan against somehow. Because if they just keep going for these big combos with the Final Slash and Minion Fury, it's been proven about twice right now that it doesn't really work as well as they really want it to.
Oh, Irad very close to being hooked there.
Irad, level 12 right now, but so is Ray. Uh-oh, conceal play.
Onto Irad again. Able to dash away once again, Irad. Very slippery, Fredrin.
Not going to be able to get taken out just yet, but it looks like both of these roamers are looking for that loophole. Because technically, if Geek want to go for a full 5v5, RRQ, they have a lot of tools to play with. They're also anticipating the fact that Clay can utilize the diversion to look for a proper back door. But it doesn't look like Clay want to open it up just yet. That nearly lands, but it doesn't. Look at this chess match. Look at the mind games happening between both of these teams.
The Skylar is just comfortable leaving the team to go on the other side. These hooks are getting more and more dangerous just due to how the teams have been able to get items to really get the power spikes. Chidera with the Wind of Nature right now means that Dawn and Irad can't really zone him away as reliably.
Oh, there we go. Dodges. Not the right engage though. They don't want to go for Dawn. They want to go for Irad. Final slash onto Ray with a poisons as well, but the boy comes in with another realm just in time. Vin pulled back, and the Bloody Hunt catches him. Luke jumps in with the Bravest Fighter. That's a kill picked up by Ray. Meanwhile, now Dawn goes into the backline with the Brazers Brad locked in as well. Chidera still free hitting in the back while Shadow Stampede gets used up once again. Dawn will fall. Irad dashes out to safety. Geek fam winning in this fight, but only by 1 kill.
But Dawn gets caught really low. This is going to force him to recall. And it looks like Clay is going to. I think he's going to divergent him back into the Lord Dance. But they don't go for it. They know that they have enough time. They don't want to waste in that resource. A boy going to be able to clear in this mid side, and it's a complete reset from both these teams.
Oh. Okay, it's a bit of a scouting diversion right here. RRQ, they're trying to stabilize back. The fact that Fredrin can heal up technically by just farming in the jungle, and there is a diversion to be used, gives them a bit of an edge. But on the top side, the wave has done its job for RRQ, pushing the turret. It didn't get the turret, and now it's bouncing back for RRQ. So now there's a bit more urgency for RRQ to try and get something decisive right here. But they just have to find Chidera, and he's been so elusive in these fights, man. He knows he doesn't have to force anything.
Do they really want to go for a team fight here, though? Clay doesn't have Flicker. Skylar doesn't either.
Looking for diversion play, maybe.
But who do you send back?
Man, too many questions. And there's so much risk involved with every single one of these options for both these teams. Ray's trying to make a play, though.
Opening up the map, trying to find a shield unity. Good spacing by Dawn. Irad holds on to the Lord once again. Beloyski looking for the Iron Hook! Oh, Irad's playing with fire!
You can see how much pressure is on both of these teams. Geek want to close this out as soon as possible, but for RRQ, it's not just about winning the game. if they lose it, it's not just about losing the game, it's about losing their entire playoff run and their contention for MSC.
Oh! That's an Iron Hook into the bloody hunt into the Shadow Stampede into the damage of Chadero, who melts him down. A good Appraiser's Wrath gets them low, but another realm grants him another HP. Marvin with a Minion's Fury into the back, and Skylar with a Lycan Pounce finds Chadera, shuts him down. The re-engage was perfect for RRQ.
That's a 1-for-2 trade, but Chadera is gone. Ladies and gentlemen, I repeat, Chadera is gone. RRQ with 4 men up. They're gonna go for the blitz here. A boy, Luke, Ray, they seem to be in the vicinity. Do they want to go for a miracle play?
Look at the health bars. Ray with the shield unit into the Bravest Fighter. Now into the Appraiser's Wrath, and Clay! Dispersion, rotation, and elimination. Skylar chasing a boy. Running into the hills he goes, a boy. And the Lord goes in favor of RRQ.
What a game we have on our hands, man. The fact that Geek were able to get the pickup onto Dawn, it seemed like it was over, but RRQ, they find the play, they find Chadera. Now with the Lord, they can play some macro planning to really get their hands on Geek fam. Looking at the in-game equipment, you're approaching that late stage, and Skylar is full built. He won't, he's going for a swap here, it seems like. But Chadera isn't really on full yet, and look at Beloyski!
On Iron Hook in the midst of it all, Dawn with the final slash as well. Diminu's Fury won't be used up just yet. In the midst of it all, still going to be Dawn, use it Avengers now. Diminu's Fury catches onto all of them, but it's into tier 2. They're fighting without the Lord, and then Iron Hook again connects onto Clay, who's able to flicker out. Luke unable to find the stun onto him. Skylar, Lycan Pounce in the mid lane, trying to look for a tier 2, but there's no minions. The rest of Geek fam rotating up top to clear the Lord. There are more waves to deal with as RRQ continue the siege.
They can't maximize the value. They can't go in for the inhibitor turrets, but these outer turrets have been taken down. Except for this bottom lane, ladies and gentlemen, with 2 members taken off the board, Geek have successfully been able to defend this one. I think we're gonna go to a replay now to take a look at how this all unraveled. That's an Iron Hook from so far away.
And look at how much is used to try and stop the initial engage. And look at how far back the real damage dealers for the side of Geek fam are. Even though Vin is able to knock the majority of them up, it doesn't really matter because it doesn't last for that long. And at the same time, when Geek fam is doing damage, Clay can't really output that 8 and 2 and 7 low Yi damage, which is very critical. Now they're grouping together, trying to maybe, lay a trap for Beloyski, who's been fishing around for a bit more value. And if they can get a massive diversion play here, they might be just saving that option for when the Lord is up though. The less you use it, the more surprising it can be in theory.
Back to that slow game. No neutral objective. They have to be very careful. With a diversion ready, with an Iron Hook ready, there are tools from both to look for pickoffs.
Everyone's on their toes right now. They understand the risk. More so for RRQ. Again, if they lose this game, they say goodbye to playoffs. They say goodbye to MSC. They say goodbye to Riyadh. And they say goodbye to that life-changing prize pool. Beloyski unable to get that hook in as they still look for more. The calm before the storm takes one mistake to turn things around.
They go for Dawn. They get Dawn. Vin! Once again with a flicker forward. Dawn with final slash as well. Right in the midst of it all. Luke going to be able to use the Bravest Fighter as Dawn gets melted down. Luke flickering backwards. They have found Dawn. And look at the timer. Couldn't have been more perfectly rad. All alone. Look at the diversion into the back as well. This is all just a diversion for them to jump on Chadera. Skylar, Lycan Pounce, Chadera kiting. Minus Fury used up, but Chadera will fall to Vin when he slams the hammer down. Irad was only a distraction.
That was an amazing bait by RRQ. You'd think it'd be catastrophic for them to lose Dawn, but they lose Chadera and Ray in the process. The 2 core members for this Lord to take. And this should be it. A boy looking for a miracle.
Everybody looking for a miracle, even Luke. But he's forced to use the Bravest Fighter defensively. Skylar wants to go in, baits out the Netherrealm and runs back.
That's it. A perfect Lord for RRQ.
Every single time, it seems like, RRQ, you're letting someone get jumped on by Geek fam. It has turned out to be a misdirection. And right there, we called it, right? They're gonna wait for the Lord to go for a diversion play. We just didn't expect it to go quite like that. Now with the Lord go, it's a great opportunity for RRQ, but they have to try and be smart about this. Geek fam, they have the late game carry damage and they have the Faramis. They can't just go for a wild dive right here. They have to try and go for like a 3-wave push, avoid getting hooked, and take down these structures before they can even attempt at doing anything. And you have to keep in mind, Geek fam have the advantage of having a Faramis. He can get taken out and respawn a lot faster than a lot of these members, and Geek fam is notorious for using that passive to their advantage.
Let's hope it's enough. Look at the siege coming through. All the waves are pushing.
Woo.
The dodge, the quick feet, they're coming to play right now. But remember, Clay still has the diversion. Can utilize to go for a different angle.
Only one wave, and there's a wave in the top lane. Ray with the poisons used up already. Irad locking him down now with the dispersion and the rotation, forcing another realm out. Chidera doing work on the Lord. Irad very low. Finn marching forward. Minute Fury defensively flickering backward, but is able to find two. A full final slash into a dispersion. Our boy finds the Ghost Bursters as he pulls Dom back, but he's still able to find the vengeance. And now, Skylar continues the onslaught, continues to run the Kingslayers down. Baloyski has been taken out, a boy against the world. Skylar now leaving Lycan bounce the final one to pick up an unofficial Maniac. The kingdom erupts. Brick by brick they have built back the kingdom's foundation. One game to go.
They've done it! RRQ Hoshi have equalized the series 2-2. It felt like everything was put up against them. It felt like the odds weren't in their favor. But with the support of their people, with the support of the kingdom, they have risen and they will force this to a full best of 5.
What a series.
What a turn of events.
What a turn of events. And what better stage to play this incredible series than on the MPL ID stage in the Jakarta International Velodrome. With perfect objectives, Irad leads RRQ to match point.
And it's official, I believe. None of the casters have predicted correctly.
No. Wait, somebody went 3-2.
Really? Is it KB? Sounds like a K. No, KB went 3-0.
Someone went 3-2, but in favor of RRQ. That person could be correct.
Danger Amas? Is it Danger Amas? Could it be Momo-chan?
Could be.
Could be Momo-chan. It was Momo-chan on the left.
Momo-chan.
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Look at the fans. I mean, what is a kingdom without their people? Right? And with this much support, with this much corralling behind them, they have already turned so many expectations around. It was 3-1 for Geek, 3-0 for Geek. Now we're back to a 2-2.
And I ain't trying to be a killjoy, but the last time we saw Geek fam push back, they brought out the solution. I'm kind of nervous to see if that is something that we can expect.
What do you think?
It's possible. I mean, do you think that Chidera is underperforming?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I feel RRQ have just been outperforming Chidera with those flanks. They've been really creative with the Loyi, with the chip as well. And now we're 2-2.
Oh, man.
I'm impressed by Skylar. No, wait, Skylar is a given. I'm impressed by Dawn. We didn't see this kind of, I mean, we saw it a few times. Like, it was there, but that glimmer didn't last very long in the regular season. But again, it seems like he's fired up. The plays that he goes for, the life-changing final slashes that ultimately gave the win on a silver platter for the rest of the members to follow up on with the damage, Clay's macro plays. Arashi, your team.
I mean, I'm smiling.
What's going on?
No, you gotta believe sometimes. I keep saying that. But man, if you guys notice, Coach Spiel passed by, he looked at his supporters and went
Calm down. One more.
One more.
One more.
That's cool. That's main character energy from Coach Phil. Man, what? Oh, I'm so nervous right now because honestly, either way, whoever comes out on top, I think it has been an insane series, completely entertaining, and I think no real fan base can really say that, oh, our team underperformed in this match.
For sure.
I would say.
Would have expected.
Arashi.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. But I mean, speaking of this incredible Game 2 victory to equalize, Arashi mentioned all the way in the first game, before the first game even started, the RQ are a momentum-based team. So they have the momentum in their hands right now. It's a 2-0 in the last 2 games.
Have we seen this for Geek though? Them winning 2-0,
Yes.
equalized, and then they win?
They lose. Season 11 playoffs, when they made it to the play-ins, first match, first day, they were up against EVOS. They won 2-0, and then EVOS reverse swept them.
So this is a problem.
It's a problem, and it happened in an odd season as well.
I mean, you gotta be fair. Match point Evos is a whole different beast, and we have this whole thing going on. But for sure, I do think that's still a bit dangerous though, because Geek fam, I've always been vocal about saying that they're really good the longer the game goes, when Valoisky can kind of start playing some mind games. But right now, with the kind of momentum that RQ has, maybe they're the ones that are, you know, when you're trying to scare someone and you're like, oh, he's gonna flinch, but he doesn't. It feels like almost like Valoisky is trying to figure something out, how to scare RRQ. But RRQ with the momentum is just going at it, and it's just throwing off all the calculations from Valoisky. Brute force.
I mean, to be honest, RQ, what do they have to lose, right? I think a lot of people already wrote them off for playoffs as a
Right.
whole, right? So nobody expected this. I don't think they were even prepared themselves to be able to get to playoffs, and they finally get to this point, and they're like, you know what? Win or lose, we're like just lucky to be here, right? But
Oh,
you
yeah.
know who wasn't lucky? Geek, because of this performance by Dawn, presented to you by the official tournament smartphone, the Samsung Galaxy. He performed so well in the previous game, and now he performs this well, whether it be on the Esmeralda, the Arlet. What happened? I mean, look, don't look at the KDA, right? Because it doesn't reflect properly
True.
on what he was able to do. What changed with Dawn?
Because he's no longer Don, Eterna. Excuse you. He's the Don.
Oh,
The Don. He was just so good, and it really seems that he has a goal in mind. He wants to be disruptive. He wants to be a coverage tool. He did not care if he gets taken out, and he was able to survive for so long. Here's the clear the game highlights for our official gold partner Ube as gold. All the way from the early game, Dawn was just so actively making plays happen left and right. And like you said, Eterna, the KDA does not reflect his impact here at all. Because for the most part, we talked about how if Vin wants to try and have utility from this Minotaur, someone else has to bear the burden of being the main sandbag. Well, Dawn absolutely bore that burden, and even though Geek were able to really come back, especially after this one massive play, overall, I think our Q's decision-making, adaptation in this game, again, the mind games, the crazy maneuvers they were able to make, it's just so good. Even Clay here flickering onto Chidera to pressure him away from his team so that he can't have any backup. Look at that. Like, what happened, man? Something happened between game 2 and 3, for sure.
Yeah, I gotta give a shout out though to Irad. My personal choice this whole game is playing so good. Only dying once as well. Securing 3 objectives, turtles,
Lord.
and then Lord as well.
Avoiding hooks.
Avoiding hooks, playing with fire, and remember, that was the crucial way to win. He was always able to bait the Lord, go back and forth with the Lord, while also dodging the hooks, and he played it perfectly.
mountains and rivers this time.
There are even
Side, who will pick up red side? So far, it's been a good trend for blue side, but RRQ have proven that they can do it even from the red. The drag team phase presented to you by the official tournament smartphone Samsung Galaxy. You can see Geek is still going for the same stuff here. Claude, Natan, Moskov being banned out. RRQ are the ones to ban out the Chip and the Hellcurt. Will Luo Yi be left open this time around? If they want to go for the contest, they should go for it, and they go for the in the last phase.
Alright, so no Harris available right here. The first pick, it's gonna be the Fredrin. Bit of a adjustment here. I don't think Geekam has had the Fredrin in the past couple of games. I believe it's been mainly RRQ.
yeah.
We'll have to see though. Alright, with that being said, for RRQ right now, will they go back to that Luo Yi, or will they be a bit more concerned about the jungler? They can just come in and be aggressive and shut down that mid lane. Because we've seen that Geek Fam, if they can't shut down the gold laner, their eyes are immediately locked onto Clay.
Luo Yi is up for grabs. Do RQ want to pick it up right here, right now with probably a Roger. But they don't go for the Fredrin first pick with a Roger. They should go for the Luo Yi. That's a Roger.
And see
That's a Luo Yi.
Alright. Interesting. Again, aggression in the gold lane. It's probably the gold lane, right? We haven't seen RRQ really flex his Roger into the jungle. It's always the gold lane and the mid lane right here. But considering how center stage, how impactful the Luo Yi has been in the past couple of games, I kind of get the feeling that Geekdom are definitely thinking of a way to really shut down the Luo Yi, because in those big team fights, of course, Skylar was doing a lot of damage, but for the most part, the AoE, the card control comes from the Luo Yi, and now Florin picked up very early on, guaranteeing an even stronger team fight technically.
That's super early though. Very early Florin. RQ could just go ham with early game now. They need, at this point, to secure a big early game lead. Because Geek Fam are playing for mid game with that Florin pick.
And with the Florin pick, that does also signify that Geek really need a playmaking hero in the EXP lane. That's always been the pattern for Geek. So take away Luke's Lapu Lapu, take away his priority heroes that he can playmake on, and it might smell like disaster for Geek right now, but let's focus on RRQ. The last pick in this first phase is gonna go to the Akai. Huh. Do you think this is flex?
Oh, I guess it can still be flexed. We've heard great things about the Akai though. It technically has the same kind of impact that we saw from Geek Fam in game number 1, where this quote-unquote jungle hero can be flexed, and it can still have the same, it can offer the same benefits without being as vulnerable of a target. So from RRQ, I guess picking it against the carry is also, a decision they want to make, because she's closer range, so you can kind of catch the carry a lot easier. Interesting maneuver decision by RRQ.
So now it comes down to the bans. RQ, they know the template of Geek Fam.
Fair enough.
Whenever Florin is picked up, they need an initiator in some other form. And usually it is Luke who takes that mantle on, but it seems RQ, they have a different person in mind. Someone that has rarely been targeted, even in the regular season. Only is Novaria really being respected. Valentina. Or maybe they want to pick the Fairness up for themselves by banning out that Valentina.
Wait, how?
The Fairness roam?
If they really want to
The
get
throwback?
additional HP,
Interesting.
because they want to dive, right? It looks like they really want to snowball, but I think it's a bit too much. Vin does play it, by the way. That's when it was in Bigatron, especially.
Yes.
That's when he goes for these swaps with Key, really crazy swaps. But I think that might be a bit too far-fetched.
Is it not just to deny the counter diversion play?
That is a possibility. We haven't really seen that matchup really play out, but Valentina Fairness just like that. So they have a big ultimate in mind right here. Maybe it is just the heavy spin. We'll have to wait and see. For Geek, they banned away the Link, so they're really concerned that a assassin jungle might show up out of nowhere. And that is a big problem for a squishier, utility-based like healing support like a Florin. And with banning away the X-Borg, they want to try and mitigate how strong Dawn can be in the lane as well. What will he be put on?
I mean, the Arlet Akai combo, one of the combos that we know work really, really well. On top of that, right now for RRQ,
Exorcist of the Dragon Spirit.
wait.
it's a
Zong?
Yu-Zong. Ooh. Okay, wasn't expecting Yu-Zong here, but it does make sense. You want to dive in deep. Again, it makes sense with the composition that synergy checks with the rest of the comp.
How was the Yuzong against a Lapu Lapu?
in lane?
Yes.
I think Lapu Lapu has to play safe till level 4 for sure. And afterwards, it depends on how well both players can try and use the sustain. Because generally, the Lapu can build more physical, skill lifesteal items and kind of sustain back up. When it comes down to an all-in though, depending on how ahead one of the players are, the Yuzong has a bit more value there. Because you kind of have a built-in regen plus damage at the same time.
But this is the answer from Geek. They go for Ruby, for Luke, one of his power heroes. We saw what he was able to do in the early stage of the series. Vexana, the next answer. So they have a lot of tools here. They have a lot of CC. They have knock-up from the Vexana as well. RRQ, they just need one more hero to close this out. Is this an Akai jungler? Are they gonna swap things around in the roam? It's the ultimate question.
Looking at this composition,
Just
they
say
can
the
go for
Franco
more
is open.
pickoff too, to be fair.
I will choose my
All right,
own
good to
path.
see. 4 seconds, it will be an Arlet.
Roam?
Roam?
Yeah. Arlet roam for Vin. Ah,
Oh boy.
not the best of win rates.
Power hero.
Power hero, you can say that. Maybe in the playoffs it'll be different, right? But in the regular season, it is Vin has always failed on this Arlet pick. Notoriously, Beloyski laughed at him after a final slash flicker
Yep.
combo that
I saw that
missed.
clip.
Yeah, that clip was everywhere. So we'll see if he will be able to find that redemption in the most important game for him, at least this season so far.
Oh boy.
People learn from their mistakes. People go stronger from their mistakes.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
And that's
And-
been absolutely true for RRQ so far.
And it's crazy, right? Like how everything has built up to this, the win streak, the history, the fact that RQ are here because of Geek Fam. Now we're finally at the final deciding game. Let's see what happens.
You can't go back from this. There's nowhere to run. There is nowhere to hide. Go big or go home for the final game in this best of 5 series. Will we be saying goodbye to Geek? Or will the Kingslayers prevail under the pressure, under the boot of the Monarchs? RRQ Hoshi.
We'll have to see. Looking at the composition so far, when it comes to, it really feels like RQ are kind of liking the fact that they can really secure those neutral objectives. With a Yuzong, with an Akai, they are overloaded with crowd control tools. In order to contest for that, you have to wonder for Geek, are they going to try and match it? Are they going to try and go for trades? Because we've seen them go with both situationally. But look at the aggression here. RQ taking control of these bushes. They're the ones pressuring. And usually you see Geek Fam just a bit more proactive.
Boy, getting zoned completely away from his own minion wave here in the mid lane, and I don't think he will be able to walk up here. He's just soaking in the XP. Vin, I was thinking about it definitely there. Jadera, Warrior Boots. Again, firmness, tenacity.
He wants to make sure that he can somewhat survive at least. Ray though, with the Inspire and the Concussive Blast, it's a utility, fast clear approach and play. Very careful about getting hit with that stun, but I guess that's, you know, how much he fears the potential for Geek to just go in aggressively when you least expect it.
I mean, that's what you can expect in the mid lane, right? Again, Luo Yi in the early game has so much damage. Meanwhile,
But have you spin into the Furious Dive into all the vengeances you get from those resets. Straight for the turtle, it spawns in 4 seconds. RQ strike first in game 5.
first blood, but only onto Vin up until this point, right? Hasn't reached level 4 just yet, and we can already see Vin going for the neutral objective. No contest whatsoever for Geek as they look for a mirror play in the top side. Can they get it?
Diversion, no. All the way up top. Vin cannot chase them. They're here just to relieve some pressure away from Skylar in this lane. A 2v1. Vin! Final slash from Beloyski back, forcing him to flicker.
This is a dangerous call from Beloyski. He went with the flicker, knowing that there's a lot of aggression, gap closing tools from RRQ, but that means he doesn't really have a Purify. So if Dawn feels that Chidera is too slippery or a boy is too difficult, too covered, he can still go for Beloyski. And this also forces a boy and Beloyski to kind of split apart unless they want to be comboed and knocked up together with a Petrify Furious Dive combo. So that Yuzong pick is just looking more and more valuable as the game goes on.
The audience prediction, it's been up and down, honestly. Earlier on, it was like a 50%, 59% for RRQ, but we're back to 70%. I think after 2 convincing wins by RRQ, the Kingdom have rallied even stronger than before. But again, up until this point, back into the game, 3 minutes has elapsed. We're looking at 40 seconds to the next neutral objective. Irad level 6, Ray as well. What are we expecting here? Do Geek need to look for an opportunity, or do they just try and weather the storm that is RRQ?
I think they definitely want to weather the storm just a bit more. Everything, even the roamer, is just so aggressive from the side of RRQ. And Skylar here, knowing that he has the backup, goes in aggressive, chunks the members of Geek low. But hey, this is a similar situation. We've seen RRQ getting punished for this, but look at the boy!
Forcing another flicker, Vin. The flicker hunters so far this game. Beloy and a boy. Both having to burn theirs. Right as the turtle spawns up top this time for RRQ. Irad wants to go for the steal. Probably forcing out Ray with Retribution. And he does get that. Boy caught him in dispersion and the rotation once again in the mid lane. Forced back. But this is the regular season Geek fam that we know with the Florid. Oh, a dive from Don. Eternal Guard though connects on to Don, and Luke is there to follow it up with the Donor Wolf King. And then another final slash from Vin. The capitalization of the burnt flicker earlier. But now Luke tries to go for a trade, plays right there with his version, and pops into diversion as well. A pullback with I'm Offended. Vin's still able to survive for a bit right now as he gets chased down. Still the Vengeance resets though, and in the end, he will fall. He will crumble to the Appraiser's Wrap. The heavy spin up top will mean that Chidera will be pinned down even with the Purify. Right into the Petrify and the Furious Dive of Dawn. Skylar munching on that turret.
This is so much value for RRQ. Everything is going right for them. Beloyski might be the next one to fall, but he's still able to get out. Regardless whether or not he fell, RRQ pushed this 1.2k. They got the turtle. They were able to get kills on the board. Vin was able to get a solo onto a boy, was able to buy so much time for them to eventually take down and punish Chidera. Things are not looking great for Geek if they want to stay and if they want to fly out to Riyadh.
Everyone from RRQ just stepping out right here. We saw Dawn make crazy plays in the previous game, and even in this game, just surprising both Geek fam and us on the desk. But Vin on the Arlet, despite the meme and the beliefs of the people that he hasn't really been able to play this, he seems to be really comfortable, just waiting for all these opportunities, capitalizing, forcing Geek fam to really use all of their battle spells defensively instead of aggressively. And immediately they rotate towards jungle. They're playing this so calculatively.
Ray with the taunt, now when I'm Offended as well, trying to bait out that heavy spin. Irad saving it to the very last second and is able to escape.
Great trade of spells here for RRQ. They went for that play very, very early on. They're trying to shut down Ray so they can really get the more guaranteed neutral objectives. By all means, in the previous 2 games, the fact that they were able to get those lords so decisively is a big part of why they were able to actually find success and win against Geek fam. But look at this diversion. Back up top.
We're going to look for a little bit more of time here. Despite Geek going for it, RQ want to clap back.
Oh, right with the final slash, Irad comes in to petrify onto Ray with now the bloom coming back with the Razor's Wrap. Not going to be enough to help him survive. He wasn't even able to let it get out. He got bursted down by Clay and Luke. Now in the midst of it all, caught the heavy spin, isolates him. Luke trying to run away. Guess it don't run Wolfie into the Eternal Guard. And now Chidera is on the chase, but not for long. They cannot lock any of the RQ members down.
That's a lot of damage coming in from a boy there. RRQ, they're doing great so far. But they need to remember, there's a lot of combos available for Geek fam. A big I'm Offended to a stun from Beloyski to the Eternal Guard can really spell doom for them if they are not careful about this. they have to be aware and know that that is the kind of moments that Geek Fam are just waiting to try and get an advantage from them through.
But Skylar's doing so well so far, right? 1-0-1. It feels like he's snowballing up until this point. I'm wondering what his items are. Luke in a 2v1 situation, not going to be able to defend it. That's a flicker.
Gotta pull, I'm offended, trying to escape right now, but Skylar, Lycan pounce, that's a bloom. Global healing is present. They will bait out that flicker away.
That would be RRQ just brute forcing the turret take though, right in front of Luke's eyes. So they've kind of shut down.
Three-man final slash, but Vin finds himself in enemy lines. Done! Done! With a petrifiance to collapse! Skylar finds a double! And RRQ, the kingdom erupt once again.
It's a 4-1 trade. That was a 4-1 trade. After everyone laughing at Vince Arlett, he goes in with that play and he makes it work. The follow-up as well was so impeccable by Dawn with the Yuzong. Never mind the trade. They get so much space. They get the turret in the mid side and they have so much more control over Geek now.
The fact that Vin started the whole sequence, burns all the battle spells, all the counter-engage tools, and Dawn immediately identifies it. The Dawn comes in, lands the tail on two members, just deleting them. With all this pressure, RRQ can go for it, but I wonder if they're still cautious of whether Geek Fam are waiting for some kind of opportunity. They've put Vin in between the Lord and Geek Fam. It might just be a free one for RRQ.
But despite everything, right, Ray has still kept up with the farm, also at level 11 right now. But then they don't want to go for the risk. They're not going to go for the contest. This is a perfect turtle and Lord take, by the way, from RRQ.
It's so difficult for Geek Fam right here. Look at the items as well. Skylar with the Sea Halberd. It's going to be doing a lot of damage to Ray and Luke. These beefier heroes that should be at the front line. So it's not just Clay right now that's doing damage. Skylar is itemizing to be able to help out with that. Oh, look at Vin.
Again with a vengeance. Just trying to walk in front, trying to be a nuisance here. Look at RQ though. Look at the way that they are using the waves. Trying to build up as many waves as possible with that Lord in the bottom lane.
Unfortunately for them, all those minions in the bottom side, cleared by the Lord, they won't be getting gold for it. But they will be able to get this mid lane turret. That is plenty, especially against a team like Geek Fam that usually is able to really stave off all this aggression. And they're still going on the top side. They're leaving the Lord for way later.
So what's the plan now? The Lord is marching still. They still have two waves. It doesn't collapse at the right time, but it still is a push from two ends. There's still a tower in the bottom side, however. What is Geek waiting for? Is that a diversion? Oh no!
Oh! Divergence and a heavy spin, and Rad finds the pin onto Luke, but they're on another man's base. A boy finds a kill. That's Vin as well. That's two. A greedy play from RRQ into the base of Geek Fam, and it did not pay off. Luckily for them, no shutdown, so they don't lose too much.
Wow, that came out of nowhere. I mean, we were thinking about it being a possibility, but it was just a bit too fast. And really, with the Lord coming in, they could have at least timed it, right? So that Geek Fam would have to lose a lot of HP in that base turret on the bottom side. But as you mentioned, Mirko, no shutdowns, still 4k gold ahead. And for the most part, Geek Fam haven't really been able to find a winning solution, right? Front to backs has been going for RRQ. Neutral objective timing has been for RRQ. Even pickoffs, RRQ has had the better chance because they have a heavy spin that can be used defensively, aggressively, in a team fight, or even for pickoffs. And they are just using that as a flexible tool, like a Swiss Army knife.
They also have Clay with the diversions to facilitate those kinds of interactions from happening. So Geek have been falling behind on literally every single aspect. We see a diversion play here. They don't necessarily find anyone just yet. They will be accompanying Skylar, maybe utilizing him as bait, but Geek, they don't take the bait.
You're playing it super safe. And let's remember, last season, Geek Fam were notorious for just staying in the base, weather the storm again and again, and then wait for the eventual comeback. This could be what they are planning on doing right here. With RRQ going on the Lord, though, you can see some maneuvers coming in from Geek Fam, trying to find some control.
Again, right, despite RRQ holding control, like you mentioned, Arashi, Ray is also level 13, so he's been able to catch up to Irad. So if they want to go for a 50-50, is it possible? Is Chidera ready for this team fight? Is a boy ready for this team fight, right? Because it really does depend on both of these players.
Ooh. Same done to the bottom side.
Yep. Pushing down to the bottom lane. Now Vin can go for an engage. Heavy spin into the back with the Black Dragon form used up as well. Irad secures the Lord for free. Geek Fam on the march, trying to look for a pickoff, something back, any sort of trade, but RRQ deny it.
It's insane how they played that, right? Because the best case scenario is Geek are able to kind of fend off the initial attack coming in from RRQ, let them waste all their resources, but in that amount of time, it's enough for them to go burst in the Lord. So there was absolutely no opportunity for them to go for it.
I think the RRQ mainly, they weren't really planning. They didn't think that the Yuzong would have won them the fight immediately from there. But the fact that you're trying to set up for a Lord fight and out of nowhere, on a 90-degree flank angle, a Black Dragon form just shows up. I think that definitely shook Geek Fam a bit, and that is what RRQ used to just immediately just burst down that Lord. Now with the Lord coming in, they're still not going for a 3-wave push, but they're making a play for the base turrets.
3-wave spin with a flicker forward, the final slash, but it gets baited into the base turret. Now as Ray is able to lock him down under the base turret. Vin with immortality, melted down by Chidera, but the enhanced Lord has done work. Up top, it's a base turret taken, and RRQ instantly disengaged. Geek Fam though, they want to continue. Luke marches on forward, but notices that RRQ have dispersed a bit too fast.
So let's go back and circle to that question, right? We're already at 14 minutes. Can Geek defend this? Do they have enough in Chidera, and do they have enough in a boy?
Chidera and a boy? I mean, Chidera can shred down the Lord if it's being used. A boy can clear relatively well, and with the Eternal Guard being an extra factor in the fights, I think we're looking, like you mentioned, Eternal, like you predicted, at a very, very long game, potentially. Skylar is a 2,600 gold ahead, already at full items, but Chidera only 1 item behind right here. I think that healing becomes a big problem here for RRQ. Florin, the longer the game goes, will be able to have technically more healing and lower cooldowns as well. So I think for RRQ, they have to really try and strategize and find a way to get a surprise play in the base. As I really talked about how Geek is just so good at just defending again and again.
So late game?
Late game will favor... I would put my money on Geek Fam when it comes to the late game. When it comes purely to like a 5v5 collision. Which is why I feel like RRQ will have to find ways to get a big Black Dragon form or a big heavy spin or a big diversion play before they can really claim that victory that they so desperately want.
You probably take some more free enhanced Lords, but I think that ultimately will be only for them to pick up 1-2 base turrets, right? But the ultimate end angle for RRQ is either a team fight or an evolved Lord. That's when Geek Fam are forced to answer.
That's a diversion. Yuzong is at the bottom of the map, ladies and gentlemen. Keep an eye out for him. Chidera is positioned in perfect way.
Vin gets locked down by the Lord that knocked him up. Now Ray in the midst of it all, it's going to be done. Rises to the back, but Eternal Guard catches him. Immortality used. Chidera ultimate of nature, but look at the choke point now with Luke able to find the Donra Wolf King around with a heavy spin, is trying his best to get rid of the Geek Fam members. RQ dispersed. Luke finds the I'm offended, but now Skylar goes in for a desperate play, finding Maloyski, but will lose his life with Geek Fam chasing. It seems Skylar is still able to survive. He runs away with the GDS movement speed. But the enhanced Lord will spawn up top. Geek Fam know it. They want to take the big plays. This might be the end. In the mid lane, marching down. I'm offended on the Skylar. Ray with a knockup.
Oh no!
They're chasing Skylar, but he has the GDS once again. Now the enhanced minion waves come down. And so does Vin. Dawn 4 seconds, Irad 11. An Eternal Guard. Trying to spot out the diversion.
Oh, no.
Ray walks up. Skylar is running for the hills for a boy, but he might be caught now. A boy running too far from his team. That Skylar picks up an unstoppable, a bait, and an elimination for Skylar.
That was a mid laner traded for a mid laner ultimately, but look at RRQ marching down in the mid lane. Skylar is still available. Vin and Dawn are on the way as well. These base turrets are going to be falling with everything on the line.
They find Luke with a final slash, and I'm offended, not connecting. RRQ slowly but surely marching down the Kingslayer's base. That's a 3-man stun from Beloy. Luke with the Don't Run Wolf King as the Black Dragon form gets used up, and Ray is going to be isolated with a heavy spin. Finn also isolated in the back. Ray still able to survive right now as he gets so much sustain. Meanwhile, Finn, he cannot say the same thing. He shall crumble under the 3 members of Geek Fam.
2 base towers taken by RRQ, but look at the goal difference. Geek Fam is closing it, and this is the signature Geek Fam, the defense every single time when they know that their backs are clear, are safe from any play. We've seen that when it comes to items, a boy and Chidera now output damage that RRQ cannot ignore, and Skylar, being the early game hero that he is really struggling to keep up with the damage output from Chidera, especially in these short bursts of engagements that are reliant on big ultimates like the Black Dragon form, like the heavy spin. With 2 base towers, they can still go for a great play, a diversion maybe for a big flank, or just go for the Lord. But now it's getting scarier and scarier, less guaranteed as the seconds go by.
But even then, right, 30 seconds next for the next Lord to spawn, but look at the position that it's spawning in, right? It's on the bottom side of the map. Meanwhile, RQ were able to get that inhibitor in the top side, so that in itself is working in favor of RRQ, with the fact that they still have the Luo Yi to play around with the macro. They have the Yuzong as well in case they want to go for it. This is going to take extra amount of brainwaves from the Triple B to work out this macro, to work out this Lord Dance.
For sure. Looking at the items as well, Ray going for all, ability-based physical damage reduction, and Athena and Oracle. He knows that there's going to be ability-based damage coming in from Skylar, from Frey. He needs to be that extra frontline because Beloyski is not a tankier hero that can initiate or counter-engage. So right now, it comes to just short trades. The Florian healing now becomes a big problem because even if RRQ can chuck someone down to half HP, unless they can really seal the deal and take him out, put him on death timer cooldown, it won't be enough. But with the waves pushing the top side, RRQ, they're trying to play this as calculatively as they could possibly do.
Ladies and gentlemen, this possibly could be the last Lord of this best of 5 series. The way that this goes down is imperative to the success of the entire organization at MPL ID Season 13. And if they still want a chance to make it to MSC, the pressure is there. The chaos is looming. The waves are pushing. And the Lord gets resetted?
RRQ, maybe a bit too cautious. Maybe a bit over respectful. 2-man, I'm offended, right into the stun. Chidera trying to go for some damage as the Black Dragon form gets used up, but that's all just a bait. Geek Fam want to utilize these cooldown buffers to get as much value as possible. Ray very low, the Bloom's still ready. Diversion to the back line as well. There might just be looking for the end right now. The heavy spin gets used up as well, but Geek Fam are forced back in the mid lane. The boy is able to clear it out. The Eternal Guard, Skylar not able to dish out enough damage towards the mini waves to clear it out in fast enough. Momentum, pendulum, all swinging back in favor of Geek Fam slowly but surely. Now Luke is chasing Skylar, but he has that GDS movement speed to play with. Both teams once again, they stand by.
It didn't work out.
That was dangerous, man. A boy, though, able to clear the wave. What hasn't happened? And now it's back to the Lord Dance. But now look at the wave on the top side. It's meeting so much further outside of the base for Geek Fam. They have decent control right here.
Bit of damage placed onto Luke by the Lord, though. This is an evolved board. They'll be taking so much damage from it. Final slash, not connecting. Finn gonna be stunned up earlier. Eternal Guard knocking around up, doing some poke damage. Black Dragon form as well by Dawn. This is a window of opportunity. A 5-man petrified, but he gets the lead in instead. Now the pressure's run! Ray finds Iran and he gets the retribution. All objectives have gone to the Kings. All of the retries have gone to Iran. But one, the one that mattered might have gone to Ray, might have gone to the Kingslayers.
Irad and Dawn, they fall. And with them, possibly the entire kingdom will go down with them. 3 waves are pushing. Ladies and gentlemen, this Lord is marching down in the mid lane. 20 seconds left on the clock for Irad. 17 seconds left on the clock. Ray still needs to work down in the top side. Oh, but there they go!
But
Dennis!
defended finding play. Only Skylar, the crown prince in his own base, left to defend. They will slay the prince, they will slay the Kings. 7-0, and proceeding to an 8-0. The Kingslayers continue their reign over the Kings.
They were once the saviors. They were once the key. But back here in the playoffs, in the mausoleum, in the Colosseum, all that does not matter. We are now back to enemies. We are now back to rivals. And despite the equalizer from RRQ, it's not enough. Rex, Regum, Kaon are officially out of MPLID Season 13.
The Geeks have spoken. Nothing personal, kid. Sending the kingdom back home. It was a great attempt. It was an amazing match from both these teams. But unfortunately, in the end, there can only be one. And Geek Fam proceeds to the next step.
Barely making it to playoffs. Counted out by everyone. To prove to the world that though they did lose, though the predicted outcome came through, they put up a fight. They put up a good fight against a team who is known to have their number. Bringing the best out of Geek Fam.
I don't think anyone expected this, going a full best of 5. I don't think anyone expected them to go to the playoffs to begin with. We're gonna take to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, in just a few moments with Budek Clara Mongstar as well as Moko. But what a series, what a way to start the playoffs. And with that, host, Pasok.
Karena kita melihat bahwa 5 game berhasil disapu, berhasil untuk dimainkan oleh kedua tim ini. RRQ dan juga Geek Fam.
Betul sekali, dan tentunya kedua tim memberikan yang terbaik pada match kali ini. Tapi sayang sekali karena perjalanan dari RRQ Hoshi harus terhenti di hari pertama babak playoff MPL Indonesia Season 13.
Dan kali ini kita harus melihat sang raja harus tertunduk di season 13. Mari kita beri tepuk tangan yang paling meriah untuk perjuangan. Semua itu diberikan oleh tim RRQ Hoshi. Inilah dia, the last ball from RRQ. Viva RRQ tetap berkumandang. Namun, mereka harus melanjutkan perjalanan mereka di season selanjutnya.
Betul sekali, dan kita akan menantikan bagaimana RRQ Hoshi akan come back stronger di season selanjutnya.
Dan 5 game begitu mendebarkan untuk kita semua yang ada di MPL Playoff yang ada di rumah juga. Namun mari kita sambut, inilah dia, The Kingslayer Team Geek Fam!
Wow! Congratulations Geek Fam! Di hari pertama Playoff MPL Indonesia Season 13, kalian membuktikan kalian memang layak mendapatkan gelar sebagai The Kingslayer. Dan ini kalian ini bertemu dengan RRQ belum pernah kalah sampai dengan hari ini. Itu rahasianya apa?
Alhamdulillah menang, namun ini menarik di mana 2 game awal kalian betul-betul mendominasi. Namun apa yang terjadi? Sempat kayaknya kita harus dagdikdukser nih untuk di game 3, 4, dan juga 5.
Paling seru buat yang nonton. Tapi tadi ketika menang itu ngelihat ekspresinya Aboy langsung kayak jantungnya habis copot nempel lagi tuh. Gimana tuh Boy?
Emang deg-degan banget sih di game terakhir soalnya kayak kita kalah banget kan awalnya. Jadi udah bisa hoki lah, bisa menang.
Tapi benar gimana? Bude juga sempat ketemu dengan Baloy tadi di game kelima sebelum game 5 mulai. Baloy itu ditanya, Baloy jawabnya aman aja. Apakah memang sudah seyakin itu untuk Geek Fam babak playoff season ini?
Gak tahu, tapi kan emang harus tenang aja, santai. Soalnya sebenarnya game 3, game 4 kita udah bisa menang. Cuman kita terlalu excited mau finish seriesnya, jadi kita kalah. Soalnya kita lagi buru-buru. Terus game 5 hampir kalah.
Hampir, tapi momen apa sih mungkin yang di game kelima membuat kalian bisa ngedapetin?
Emang masih bisa, soalnya kita Geek Pump dan itu emang scaling composition kita. Jadi ya, kan Geek Pump selalu mau comeback lah.
Wow, tapi ini ada yang menarik juga Bude. Di sini ada yang juga baru pertama kali merasakan stage playoff MPL Indonesia. Hooray! Pertama kali tapi langsung bisa masuk ke playoff dan di hari pertama bisa melaju terus. Gimana rasanya Rey?
Senang, tapi kita belum puas lah, masih ada nextnya kan. Ya, tapi senang hari ini bisa menang.
Tapi gimana sih kita ngelihat juga tadi kalian harus melawan combo yang menarik yang dikeluarkan oleh tim RRQ dengan Louis dan juga Rogernya. Gimana sih kalian ngelihat combo yang dimunculkan oleh RRQ di playoff ini?
Susah banget sih, mereka kayaknya udah latihan banyak dah pakai Louis Rogernya, makanya tadi kita agak susah menanginnya.
Tapi pada akhirnya kalian ngejawab semua itu?
Ya.
Oh, keyakinan yang sangat besar tentunya. Dan ini menarik pula kita melihat bahwa ini seperti kita ngelihat deja vu karena harus bertemu dengan RRQ lagi. Apalagi di playoff sebelumnya. Dimana Cak Dera, ini momen-momennya hampir mirip nih ya sama season lalu. 2 game dulu, lalu 3 game. Tapi kali ini berbeda, 2 game, satunya ke kalian. Gimana sih Cak Dera? Mungkin di season lalu setelah 2 game Cak Dera sempat bergantian dengan Marky, tapi kali ini kayaknya no matter what happen Cak Dera bermain di 5 gamenya ya.
Ini sih anak-anak ngasih support, ngasih semangat, terus suruh cepet-cepet reset lah. Intinya mereka berimpact banget lah di game terakhir tadi.
Wah, apalagi nih Geek Fam dari tadi semangatin banget ya. Kalau tadi ngelihat Aboy jantungnya mau copot, tapi nempel lagi. Kalau Cak Dera, ngelihatnya kayaknya terharu banget ya Cak Dera ya.
Soalnya game 3-4 gara-gara aku.
Masa?
Enggak, bong. Enggak, kita berlima kuat emang.
Wah, tapi Cak Dera season ini tentu ada yang kamu persiapkan lebih lagi mengingat belajar dari season lalu. Apa yang Cak Dera persiapkan untuk mungkin pribadinya Cak Dera sendiri nih?
Mungkin lebih ke mental sih, mental terus emosional. Karena kan ini bukan gameplay lagi sih di playoff, lebih ke arah mental game.
Mental game. Dan Bude sempat penasaran, bagaimana mental kalian ketika 5 game ini benar-benar berkutat? Apakah sempat pikir, waduh kita salah lawan nih kayaknya. Ada sempat kayak gitu nggak? Ada kepikiran sesuatu nggak?
Gak ada sih, kita mikirnya nothing tulus sih. Ya musuh kita sebenarnya diri kita sendiri, bukan
Musuh diri sendiri. Karena kan dramatis juga kan?
Gak kuat.
Memang. Tapi gimana sih apa yang mungkin dilakukan oleh Luke untuk membantu teman-teman kah? Biar mungkin mentalnya seperti Luke yang stabil aja, lempeng-lempeng aja. Luke menang aja kayaknya mukanya biasa aja ya.
Ini jantungan sih.
Oh jantungan juga tapi poker face.
Iya.
Tapi
Paling bantu teman-teman aja buat riset. Tadi kan ke-comeback kan 2 game, game 3, game 4. Ya, kita deja vu juga lah, sering dibalikin gitu. Udah 2-0, 3-2. Tapi ya kita bisa menang.
Wah, ini mungkin Bude yang dibilangnya mentalnya ya. Jadi ini ditunjukkan Luke nih. Tapi besok match selanjutnya di upper bracket kalian bakalan ketemu Fnatic Onyx. Ini rasa-rasanya ini kayak flashback ke grand final playoff season 12 kemarin.
Semoga hasilnya gak sama aja sih, sama yang kemarin. Ya.
Kali
Kita yang
ini
menang, semoga.
berharap berbeda dengan hasilnya. Berarti ada yang beda dong dari kalian nih untuk melawan Onyx.
Ada, jungle-nya beda kan?
Oh, jungle-nya. Makasih loh.
Iya.
Tapi kan kita ngeliat juga kamu akan melawan satu EXP laner baru anyar. Nggak seperti season lalu. Bisa jadi. Dan kemungkinan besar Lutfi yang bermain. Untuk melawan Lutfi, bagaimana sih kamu melihat match up-mu dengan Lutfi?
Mungkin kurang lebih sama lah, sama kayak Boots, sama-sama jago. Ya, siap-siap aja sih.
Siapa nih yang harus siap-siap nih? Kamu atau mereka?
Aku yang siap-siap aja, lawan dia.
Apa? Apa yang kamu siapin nih?
Ya, nggak ada.
Ya. Itu aja ya,
Iya,
itu
siap
aja.
aja.
Siap-siap aja, namun ada yang mau disampaikan nggak sih? Mungkin Aboy bisa last word for Geek Fam. Ini adalah penutupan kemenangan atau Baloy. Ini adalah match penutupan kalian di hari yang pertama. Nyawa kalian hampir hilang, tapi kalian bertahan dan akan melaju untuk selanjutnya.
Message. Terima kasih buat Geek Community yang udah dukung, yang tetap semangat walaupun kita udah kalah. Dan ya itu, sama yang favorite fan gue itu. Makasih.
Terima kasih. Tapi one word for this match. Satu kata untuk match pembukaan hari ini.
Gokil.
Gokil. Dan inilah dia sang pemenang dari match pertama, match pembukaan babak playoff. The King Slayer, sambutlah tim Geek Fam!
In their playoffs run, their next step, Fnatic Onyx.
Team waiting for them up there. Fnatic Onyx.
Again.
Yeah, it happens again. It seems like Geek and Onyx are destined to meet. They've met so many times. They met in the grand finals last season.
Rematch.
But
They're
the real
destined to
next
meet.
step, Eterna, for us, not just for Geek,
Us
for MPL.
is to love you guys.
Yeah, not yes, but also
Am I wrong?
Liquid Aura
Oh.
versus Evo's Glory.
Evo's Glory.
That's an
We're finally
interesting
gonna
match.
see them rock their new, what is it called? Jerseys this time
That was a
around.
good
Oh
fight.
no.
That was a good match. Good match.
Seems like we need a little bit of time, ladies and gentlemen.
Good match.
Arashi needs to cool down a little bit. After so much hope. I have a question. Is it better to just go 3-0 or like 2-2 and then you lose the last one?
Oh man. If you're going from a perspective like, oh, you don't want to get your hopes up and feel more disappointed, sadder, then yeah. But at the same time, the fact that they were able to push it to that extent kind of softens the blow, because your guys got it, right? It could have gone a different way.
Okay.
I would rather have this, and I'm really proud of RRQ, man. Everyone really didn't really think they had it in them, but